Hi, baby.
I don't know if we're live
We'll do
yet.
it live.
I don't know. I'm never set up to be ready to see if we're live yet.
Oh, we don't, we're just two fun folks. Thunderbirds are go. Yes, Thunderbirds. So
Okay.
somebody sees us. Hey,
Yeah, we are live. That's excellent. Hi, everybody.
Winky is in my prescription. Get out of my prescription medicine stash, please.
Okay.
Synchronize your edibles. Yeah, I don't have any. I'm going with just soda. One glass of soda. I do have a joint. I was given a joint for Christmas. Which thank you. But I'll, I when I smoke, I burn. I the back of my throat, just one puff, and I'm not used to smoking. But it was given in good grace and
Yeah.
nearly forced on me. And it was nice. It's packaged, it's wrapped, and everything. It was good. So at the party at JHU Books, which was nice. I was hoping you were coming. Ronnie did tell me. I
Yeah.
was going to ask you if I can tell you about it. I'm the kind of person who does not.
Look, it's very possible that a party that I might not be invited to because people were pissed at me. But yes, Stevie and I were invited. We
Yeah,
just
cool. Yeah,
were being lazy.
because he was asking me about you. He was asking about Laz, and I was like, I don't invite people. I mean, he told me you were invited, so I didn't have to because I was going to ask him. I'm like,
Right.
so which was glad, but because I want to still get the reunion, one reunion. Higgins didn't show up. I was actually looking forward to saying hello. Oddly enough,
Well, he is in the
I
he is
saw.
on the island.
Yeah,
I I,
Winky.
I like
Excuse me one sec.
I hope people are interested in this conversation about people nobody knows who the fuck we're
It's the
talking about.
opening. It's the cold opening.
It's the cold. It's to show that we're friendly and like everybody.
Well, the
So
whole, what did you say years ago when we started the pod? Friendship through horror,
friendship through horror or
and
some
not
shit.
not the horror of Gaza or Somalia or the rest of the world, unfortunately. But
Right.
we do have Eric Adams. We have some horror.
Right.
Oh my
Oh,
God! When I left the hey, Winky will probably make an appearance. She was just here, uh, uh, Taylor, and went into my prescription medicine and tried to eat my glasses. She's a great cat. But when we were hanging out at after Little Poland and 7B, we ended up leaving pretty late, around 2 in the morning. And I have never, okay, 80s, 70s, I have never seen that many rats in my life.
well, it's Eric Adams. He brings them.
Well, I hope they kill him. I really hope they're trying to do a Willard on him, because I was drunk enough and feeling good that I didn't care, because normally I'm scared of, I don't like, it's not the rats I'm scared of, it's the where are they coming from?
Did
And
you get any of the rats? Were they ready?
no, I did. I was doing that a little bit to try to get them to follow me like a Pied Piper to the ferry, so I could bring them to Staten Island. You know what I mean? Like the end of Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things. Come on, rats! I literally saw over 2 dozen rats, and not just in one place. I mean, they were
Right.
running across. I was walking near the Cube. I ended up taking the path that'll take me to where the Cube is and past Astor to get to 8th Street, and they were like, it reminded me of Night of the Creeps, like they were being pulled on strings. They were just coming out of places in the apartments and the stores, alleyways, and
Byways
and zipping to the garbage because the garbage
right.
was out. I could not believe it.
Yeah.
I have never seen that many fucking rats in my life, and I've lived
Mhm.
here my whole life, 58
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Hold on. Winky found. I was hoping she wouldn't. It's a party now, folks.
Oh boy.
Now it's
Why
a
did,
party.
wait, you didn't think she would find it on the computer right in front of
I
her?
wasn't going to try to let it get up there yet.
Okay.
Hold on. So here.
Oh, just so people know, actually for the first time we have Stevie behind the scenes doing the comments today. So that's happening. I don't know. I know it's plausible deniability. Hey, wait.
Hey, everybody. Here's Winky. She doesn't want to be on camera. Like I was telling Paul, she's still mad that we watched the extended cut of Dawn of the Dead. She wanted the Argento cut. She likes faster moving things, and she's young. She's not into the slow moving zombies either. looking at the reviews on Dawn of the Dead, because it's a movie that I haven't, looked into or, checked out what the deal was with it. And, was pretty funny because everybody was either giving it 10 out of 10 or 1 out of 10. And the 1 out of 10s, a lot of them were like, they don't explain the plague. The zombies move slow. These people are stupid. It was too woke. I'm like,
Yeah. I've actually seen both versions of Willard, and I prefer the original, but the Crispin Glover one's fine. We actually saw that in the theater when we used to see things in theaters.
I saw Willard. I saw the. I didn't see the Crispin Glover Willard, but Willard like has a weird place in my head because I saw that in the theater, and I was terrified. But I felt really good.
How old were you then?
Christ, when did it come out? 75? I don't know. My father took it to me because he wanted to see it, I'm sure. So I was terrified and you look at it now and it's like not a very scary film.
Yeah.
But it's for a kid, it's intense. And I really felt bad when do they kill a cat in the first one? Hey, Dino Machino.
Hello.
We're just talking about you, me and Ronnie Hill. Merry Christmas.
Happy holidays every day.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. You sucked, right? Okay, was this year horrible? But not worse for the rest of the world. I mean, I get to hide. I'm not speaking for Paul. I get to hide in my room with my cat, draw stupid pictures.
I like that.
Become more irrelevant every year in my field. The best night of my life was going to Little Poland with Paul and friends and going drinking afterwards. So, that and the FMU hoof and mouth. Those are the two. And the night that I slept well, that was good.
What do you mean you slept well? How many hours?
I was sick, and I slept well. I got COVID this year. I was out for 3 months.
Yeah.
And the tooth, it's hard to. I'm learning not to complain as much because of the. I feel like I have it good compared to 90%, 95% of the world. Ow! I'm being bit by Winky right now. She's biting my hand.
Yeah.
So speaking of 2023, I was kind of aghast that you put up that this was a year. We agreed on it, but when I saw that this was a year review, I only watched 4 movies that were released in 2020.
No, I don't mean what
I know, but
it's what we watched this year.
But I just thought that was nuts because I thought I was watching more recent stuff.
Well, isn't that more than you usually do? I mean, I think that is something.
I watched a lot of. I think I watched a lot of things from the aughts and the, what do we call them? The teens. After
Tens. I think you call them the tens.
Post 2000, I did watch a lot of stuff, but none of it was super memorable.
Yeah.
So I did a lot of rewatching. I looked over my list. Yes, I have a list. I'm that kind of person.
Well, I have a list too.
Mostly because I forget what I watch, and I don't.
How many trailers did you have to watch when you looked at the name of a movie? Goes, what the fuck happened in this movie?
I wish
what happened in this movie.
I wish I got up earlier because I watched about 5 trailers. And right, I watched Winky. Okay, hi Winks. That was a good one, baby. I watched about 5 trailers. I'm going, what? And one of the movies was called Remember. It was a Japanese film called Remember. And I'm going,
I can't remember.
I don't.
Yeah.
And then there's like you get. I think this is this film. No, it's that film. But wait, I thought that film was that film. I had to watch so many goddamn trailers, and I wish that I had started a couple of hours earlier because I was like, what was I doing in 20? Like, what were my habits? What did I enjoy? And I'm looking at 4 pages of movies, and I go, I only remember the rewatches.
Well, I mean, with my list, I noticed, I just took out the genre stuff we usually talk on the podcast, not everything. And it was mostly 80s shit. I went back and either rewatched or first time watched 80s shit.
I did catch up on it's funny, I made a small list of what I rewatched, not to read it off, and what I finally got on my bucket list of always, from reading TV Guide or the Psychotronic, what I finally got around to. And of course, the stuff that I finally got around to was pretty much horrible. You know, I don't even
Yeah.
think I would have liked it when I saw it in the 70s or 80s. But yeah, I mean, it's just the movies I rewatched generally had something going for them. I mean, I'm not just saying, of course, you rewatch them, you like them in general, but it's just, I really enjoyed those so much. And so many of the other movies were just like, they don't have any spark, you know? They don't have any, they're missing that ingredient.
Well, are you looking for something that really kind of blows you away, or you just is it entertainment? What's the
Both.
barometer?
At
Okay.
this point, both. My
Yeah.
God. I mean, it's like I posted on Blue Sky the other day. I watched Agir, The Wrath of God,
Mm,
which I've been wanting to see forever. You
right.
know, as a kid, I had no idea what that movie was about, but the poster
You know what
looked,
it's about now that you've watched it?
to me, it doesn't hold up from what
I've never been able to get through it. Full
it's.
disclosure. It just
I
ugh.
people, most of the reviews that I mean, the thing is, contemporary reviews love it too. Film critics loved it,
Mm.
and to me, it's kind of like I can see why young people don't like Dawn of the Dead and like the remake, and I could see, but I can see why young people wouldn't like a gear, even though you can see, okay, it influences Apocalypse Now, it influences this, you know. But I thought I was looking forward to it, you know. I'm not a, you know, I don't mind slow moving, but I was expecting something amazing in whatever, in some degree. I was expecting amazing photography. I did what people say it is. It's a beautifully shot film. To me, it's a point and click in most of the film. That opening is gorgeous. The opening scene of the army walking through the mountains in the jungle is beautiful and sets up nothing. I mean, I just, even for its time, for me, it's like I didn't want it to be Cannibal Ferox. You know what I'm saying? I mean, the movie is, you know, without spoiling anything, the movie is about, you know, imperialism and insanity and going where you're not supposed to go, and this group of Spanish soldiers with their prisoners trying to find El Dorado, which is a great. It's got a great theme, and but I didn't find it. It was I didn't I didn't find it very interesting.
Well, I mean that's fine. Have you seen Fitzcarraldo?
No, I would. I want, you know. I'm really. I have Herzog is another one. All I saw before this was Nosferatu as a kid.
Yeah, I tried to rewatch that and I couldn't get through it this year.
I don't mind slow, but I mean, I.
Ugh.
But the thing was, everybody, you know who Klaus Kinski is. You go into this movie expecting this. You know, it's going to be
Yeah, he should have been in The Shining, right? Wouldn't that be great if they hired Klaus Kinski?
Well, to
It's
be
like,
honest, I actually thought he was a way more sedate than I was expecting from the way he glowers at everyone more than he blows up a couple of times. But not only that, but the characters in the movie are weightless. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to get out of this movie beyond the theme.
yeah.
I mean, okay, they did the stories about the film being made are amazing, but that's not the film I'm watching.
To me, I think Fitzcarraldo might fit the mold of it's beautiful looking, it's engaging enough when you watch it. The story kind of doesn't matter, maybe does or doesn't, or whatever the fuck. And I mean, I got through it with it's like, okay, I'm glad I experienced it. I then watched documentaries about it. I then, read
I
up
watched
about the
I
feuds
watched
and
I
shit.
watched some of I went on YouTube and I was watching some of the Klaus Kinski freakouts because I mean I'm not really that into him. I mean, I'm fucking sick of scumbags, you know what I mean? And he's a fucking scumbag. I mean, I understand he was traumatized in the war and everything like that, but well, long subject, but the thing is, the film doesn't. I'm watching the film and I'm going, this is an amazing production that they did this, that they built these rafts, that they got, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not amazing that they're throwing horses into the fucking water and flinging monkeys. I'm like, what is this, Italian? I wanted that horse to kick the shit out. But the thing is, I just don't understand the engagement of this film, other than the legend of Kinski Herzog and the making of.
But I mean, I think his films are very, you know, they feel a certain way that appeals to a lot of people.
Sure. Oh no.
And I'm sure,
Yeah.
but what I'm trying to say is, it's like, look, I feel sometimes, Evan, that you worry, and I think you wrote this in a post just recently, so maybe
Yeah.
that's why I'm bringing it up,
Yeah.
that you worry that you're not, what am I not getting in
Yeah.
this masterpiece that everyone talks about? What's
Yeah.
wrong with me? What don't I have? But you know me, it doesn't work that way.
It
So
doesn't bother me when I'm like saying Batman, okay? Because but I feel like when there's a film that academics get into and critics get into, I definitely feel like I'm on quicksand, intellectually, because I can't quite. It's not enough to go, well, it wasn't, the action wasn't
but you can't
cool. I
be,
don't care that the action wasn't
yeah, but
cool.
you can't be in the time. You can't be in the 70s in an
Oh,
art house
well,
theater in Manhattan
right.
thinking,
No,
thank God I'm watching, you
but
know.
I went and I looked what are people saying about it, this, that, and the other thing, and yeah, people are all like, it's genius, it's the greatest, and this is from recent, and I think a lot of the legend of how this was made is baked in, and I try to separate that. But I mean, I also thought that it's just, I'm seeing it in 2023. So man's inhumanity to man is not a new thing. Critique of colonialism, of insanity, of the church and
Right.
hypocrisy. But I didn't think anything was nailed down. It was like you know what I mean? It was like breezy for a film that's supposed to be nihilistic and tough and crazy and brutal. And I didn't, like I said, I didn't want Cannibal Ferox.
Right.
I didn't necessarily want Deliverance, which I haven't seen, but you kind of know what Deliverance is. I just didn't feel it was a good drama. The characters are terrible, and for everyone lauding Kinski's performance, a lot of it is him just hobbling around and staring at people. I mean,
Yeah.
and
Well,
he falls out of the movie.
well,
Characters
have you,
fall out of the movie for like 20 minutes. It feels like.
well, to the question, have you seen anything else?
No,
I've seen a bunch of stuff. So this is your entry point.
yeah, I don't count Nosferatu because it
Oh, well,
seems an outlier.
all right.
I mean, it made me want to. I didn't sit through it and go, "Wow, this is the Rollerball remake. This is the worst thing. This is bad ham. On still." I didn't think it was horrible or anything like that, but I was really waiting for what is the dazzling, what is the apocalypse now? What is the not in terms of explosion. I did not want an action movie. It's listed like where I want action adventure, and I'm like, I don't think anybody's watching this for action or adventure. But I didn't think it was tense.
Right, right.
I thought it was tension free, and I did not think the photography was so great that I would come out of it going, "What a beautiful experience!" It's an experience. I didn't find it grueling or anything like that. I didn't feel like the way it's edited. It just feels like a bunch of scenes put together, and there's just no growing tension at all. None of the characters barely talk. There's barely any dialogue in it. The script feels like it's like 20 pages, but it's just like shit. It just did. Yeah, it just didn't do it for me. And I guess I'm also disappointed because I was always looking forward to it. I mean, I love the way he looks, if you know what I mean. I'd love a 12-inch doll of a gear, humping around, glowering at people, and then doing his Jesus tour. Who is naughty or nice on Evan's list? You would have to. I need a little more to go on than that. Netanyahu, Hamas. I mean, I hate
I
that.
think maybe probably movies.
I
Otherwise, it's
know,
like,
but I'm like, I
you
didn't see enough of anything. Well, I did make a small list of some of the worst things I saw this year, and I think we've discussed some of them though. So, well, I think Paul and I are going to talk about Fatal Games. I hope you have a clip from it.
it's the only clip I made, to be
Uh,
honest,
this
because
is
I was the same thing. One of the things we wanted to do was make clips for this, and as I went through everything, I'm like, I don't remember
the clips were,
giant
yeah.
clips from a lot of the shit that I
I mean,
saw.
does anybody really need to see? Well, the mantis, the giant praying mantis, in Argento's Dracula. That's one of the worst things I saw
Oh,
this.
every fucking time. I try to watch that movie even for shits and giggles, and I cannot do
It's
it.
not funny enough. It's actually
It is
depressing.
so bad.
It's like watching an old wrestler who's obviously drunk trying to do moves and come back who everybody loved once. It's just it's a it feels like a Corman film in some ways. It feels so scripted and cheap. Not the good ones. So the U.S. version of Pulse is just a awful
Yeah.
crap movie. I think I dislike it more because I like Pulse so much. Yeah, Fatal Frames. Paul and I both saw that this year.
Well, do you want to actually talk
Oh
about
wait, no, Fatal Frames, Fate. Oh, I'm sorry, Fatal Games and Fatal Frames are
Oh,
two of
Fatal Frames is like I said. I find that an interesting. Um,
That's the one I thought we were going to talk about. Actually, we can talk about Fatal Games too because it's ridiculous.
no, but
But
Fatal. What do you want to talk about?
well, I'm just going down my very short list of the worst things, but I did this very quickly. I mean, I wish I got up. Paul was mentioning that he was checking. We both agreed we could not remember most of the movies, and we were checking out trailers. And there's one that I checked out, a South Korean film. I still don't. I watched the trailer and I don't remember what the hell happened in the movie. I could have probably started last week to watch. I watched, I think, 300 and like 50, 340 films or something in the year. I think
Yeah.
I remember 12 of them, and they're all from the 80s because I rewatched them. But yeah, worst was a classic horror story from Italy. I hated that so goddamn much.
Yeah.
Arrogant piece. Something called The Land of Blue Lakes, which is a found footage travesty from I don't remember what uh, uh, country out in it's not Swiss. It might be Danish. It's just like watching a whole movie and at the end somebody knocks people out. It's all fucking awful. Uh, Phantasm 5. I rewatched all the Phantasm films on Halloween, and I thought I'm not watching all of them. And the thing, I was so bored. I watched all of them. And Phantasm 5 is still just cry. Get your crying towel out.
Well,
But
I
the
think
worst.
that's why we're doing the podcast, right? Didn't you uh, on Twitter years ago say, I'm watching fucking Phantasm films and I'm screaming at the screen?
The
Well,
fifth one
one of
was.
us was doing that.
It was just terrible. But I think the worst film that I've seen. Well, it is the worst film that I've seen all year. I just saw it about a week ago, and it's called Necronomicon.
Oh, it's the anthology?
No, no. It's fascinating. I wish I could remember more of it, but it's a movie. First of all, the Necronomicon is just a book that's getting tossed around. It has no attachment to Lovecraft. It's a sloppy movie that there are characters named after M.R. James. People. I didn't know it was a vanity project until after I started looking it up, but it felt like a vanity project. It felt like the main character was a producer or a director or something. It is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. And I did not know this, but the way that he got the cat, he's already made terrible films. He took parts of terrible films to make this film.
Well, how could that be bad?
So you get, and then they put filters over everything to give it ambiance. Wait, okay, I should have asked you to get a clip from this because the opening scene, I didn't think of it, is 15 minutes of like a video game, but it's part of the movie. It's
Okay.
it's Satan's driving a death car or something.
I don't think that's real, Evan.
No, but the whole thing is CGI. It's the fake, and it goes on and on for like 12 minutes. It's got a character in it that doesn't appear in the rest of the movie. It looks like it's when they
What year
show.
is this from?
I think it's like this year. Here's the thing: Michael Madsen is in it, but it's from another movie. I think. We'll listen to this for like, oh God, you're Biling, Michael Madsen, Tom Sizemore. It's like messed up people are in this movie, and it's it's a modern film, but the guy it tries to be a noir. It's all shot on video with video effects and things like that. Um, it is the most cheaply made, screwed up, not good, unfunny, unsexy, unscary. But I couldn't take my eyes off of it because it is such a crap show. But
Yeah, this is the one you're talking about here, right?
it's got a 2. I didn't see that at first. A 2. Right. Oh, but that's the other funny thing. Everybody calls it the Necromonicon.
Oh, the Necromonicon. Yes.
They call it the Necromonicon. Multiple people because they can't say it.
Are there all kids? I don't.
They can't. No, the people are actually sitting there going, "Yeah, you want the Necromonicon?" It's so fucking bad. It looks like a video. It looks like a music video most of the time. I can't even tell you what the plot is. But what's real hilarious is that our main character goes to his publisher, and you're like, "Oh, this guy's," and the publisher's in one of those fake office buildings with CGI background, but it's supposed to be like this $1 million production company. He's gonna write a comic book. It's the company that puts out graphic novels. Unbelievable.
Right. Well, it's always that when they show the inner workings of an industry or a lifestyle that you understand, and you're like, "What the fuck is going on?"
They send him to. Oh, why am I blanking out? Where Mardi Gras is, New Orleans, on a fact-finding mission, and I'm like, comics won't even send Neil Gaiman to fucking California half the time. It's so cheap.
You've been sent to get lunch, maybe, but I mean, it's
on your dime. This is like Marvel Comics. They had one bathroom up until a couple of years ago. Yeah, this is the industry where they're just going to say, "Yeah, boss,
yeah, here you go."
And it is. I wish that you could get the opening to show how absolutely fucked up this is, because I can't even describe to you. If you could just get.
I don't think I can at this point.
Okay, because it's amazing. It's just literally you're watching a video game of a car crashing through a generic city, and there's police sirens and every car it's not even realistic. The cars are stiff. It's like Reboot, and the cars bounce like blocks, and some of them. And you're watching it, and
so in other words, wait, they're not this. It's CGI.
The whole thing
looks like okay, I get it.
It is the fakest looking crap, and there's just sound effects and helicopters are shooting at this. It's like Spy Hunter, but it's all done on the computer with insert shots of this guy who has nothing to do with the movie talking about the devil, and it looks like Dracula every time they cut to him because there's this terrible background moving, but it goes on for like 12. People said it goes on for 15 minutes. I couldn't tell, but it's padding out the entire film. But you see trucks and cars literally leaping into the air as this thing crashes into them, and then other cars just start exploding all over the place because they just threw shit. It's fucking hilarious. But it's like you go into the arcade and there's an ape playing a video game with Gibby Haynes talking.
Oh, I'm interested in this now. I want to check this out.
It's hard. It's tough. It's real tough.
Life's hard these days.
The dialogue is hilarious, but it is such a slog. There are scenes. Apparently a lot of the scenes are taken from other films he's made, and that's how he got the cast for this. But Bai Ling, because she somehow wasn't busy that day, she's actually in the film.
Okay. It's
awful. So Necronomicon.
All right. Thumbs up.
Tipped off by a guy on Twitter about this, and I was just like,
"It's a bad horse."
Yeah, you're a bad pony. I'm not going to bet on you, but I bet on it. It was terrible.
You should have bet on
Lizette Anthony from Krull is.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
She's the only one who seems to try.
And whatchamacallit, Trilogy of Terror 2, the abysmal Trilogy of Terror 2.
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's weird because it's I mean, the weird thing when you watch the original, I think it's 2 stories by one guy and 1 story by Matheson, which is Prey, which is the
I thought Matheson did all of them.
Or maybe he did. I thought he did. See, this is where research comes in. There, I'll look it up.
Who knew we were going to talk about
Trilogy of
Terror
Terror.
2
Yeah.
and Lizette Anthony?
But you might be right. Trilogy of Terror. This is good fucking content.
It's content. People washing the dishes maybe, or they left. Well, they left us with
Yeah,
two.
It's interesting. I thought it worked differently than that. So the thing is, I know what William F. Nolan has writing credits on some of the stuff. That's the guy who did
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
Right. So you get the story. The thing is, he wrote the teleplay for two of the stories.
Okay, and Matheson wrote his own, the third.
The way it's all sitting here, yeah, it's not. I
don't worry about it.
Yeah, whatever. But
yay! Content. Even Winky fell asleep.
But the thing is, Trilogy of Terror 2. I remember seeing interviews with Nolan saying that he wound up writing this story that's a sequel to Prey, because he says that was the most popular.
I was assuming that the second one would have to have the creature back.
Yeah, it's basically what happens. I think it's a direct sequel. It's basically they find the bodies and something happens. I don't know. It's terrible because you kind of know the gimmick, and it doesn't have those little TV movies of the 70s could be really good. And Trilogy of Terror is from '96, and it really just looks like shit.
If I see the 90s, the 90s is kind of like a no for me. I see 90s after. I was like, if it was 80s, I'd be like, oh yeah, 5 kids fall into a hole and some monsters chase them. That sounds pretty good. If it says 97, 96, I'm like, that's going to be awful. Some erotic thriller is going to come in out of the blue.
The
word's erotic thriller.
Well, that's one of the movies I watched this year. I watched The Kiss. I rewatched The Kiss.
I've never seen that one.
And that's a movie I avoided because that kind of 90s erotic thriller, late night Cinemax shit always kind of bored me.
Same here. I like these are attractive people, but they're not fucking me. So what do I give a shit?
At a certain point, pornography became really easy to get, and it seemed kind of a waste of time to watch this shit. But The Kiss has some wild ass horror shit going on.
Yeah,
there's some nutty stuff going on.
Why do I feel like Joanne Pakula is in that? I don't know who's in it. I never saw it. I just saw the ads, and I remember that. I used to confuse The Kiss with the movie that's got the tree.
Oh fuck! Which is the
Guardian? Is that the Guardian? No. Do you know what I'm talking about?
It might be the Guardian.
But those two films would crisscross for me a lot, and I haven't seen either of them, and I've seen scenes from them. I just know that the bad woman from The Kiss says kiss really slowly and froggy.
Right.
So this is The Kiss.
Yeah.
Blue light. You get your blue light.
Yeah, and you get your
it is Joanne, whoever.
Yeah.
Pakula. I can never pronounce that name, so I wouldn't.
It's just like Dracula.
It's just like Exorcist.
She is Dracula. So
it's Carmilla.
Right, but the thing is, it turns out the horror aspects are really fun.
Yeah.
And the kind of like, I'm the sister-in-law, and now my widowed brother-in-law, sexy time, just is boring. You know what I mean?
Sexy. I don't mind sex in movies. I don't. You know what I'm saying? But I really would like it.
I know what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Spend some time on it, just like it was. Make it good, make it interesting.
Yeah.
Rather than this is going to get on HBO 3 and little kids are going to love it. All that. It was like the guy from who's the guy who made all those terrible HBO shows? He was in Blue Sunshine.
Oh, Solomon King.
Solomon King. He ruined the 90s.
but he's in Blue Sunshine, and that movie is really really good.
I I love Blue Sunshine, but yeah. There was stuff about Blue Sunshine that I didn't remember that when we rewatched it years ago at your place. The opening is nuts,
Oh, it's very disturbing. It slumps in the middle. The
and the
ending,
ending.
there's some stuff going on
That's
in that mall shop
that's
that is
that's the
pretty.
guy that I want. If we get back to the Rob Punk, I'd love to do an episode on Jeff Seals. Can't remember his last name, but the guy who directed that is really interesting because all his movies are interesting but not great.
Mm.
He's got Squirm, which I'm sorry, I still say Squirm is a good horror movie.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a lot of fun. You
Blue
know.
Sunshine,
Yeah.
Just Before Dawn. Jeff Lieberman, I think his name is. Just Before Dawn, but then he does. I'm trying to remember what he did after that, but he also did Satan's Little Helper, which is fun up until literally there's a scene where I went, "Whoops." This just the movie just went to hell. It becomes like a Romero film at the end, a bad Romero film. But he's interesting. It's like his films are like weird ideas. Every one of them has a scene. I mean, I remember we didn't like Just Before Dawn very much, but there's some great scenes in the opening.
Well, I was actually thinking about that the other day.
I want to
Because
rewatch that one.
when we mentioned that a movie called Fatal Games, which is a movie that I always confuse with Graduation Day, which everyone confuses with Graduation Day
Yeah.
because it's very similar in a lot of ways.
And they
has a
both
javelin kill.
suck.
And I said I enjoyed it because I just enjoyed watching an 80s horror film again that I hadn't seen.
Sure.
And I was thinking about Just Before Dawn. When we wound up seeing that movie had not been readily available or as easily available. And people were really talking about this a lost classic. You got to see it. And,
Real sleeper, blah, blah, blah. Yeah.
And when I went into it, I think my expectations were too high. Well, with Fatal Games, it's just like, okay, well, this is fucking dopey.
Wait Until Dawn, is it Just Before Dawn?
Just Before Dawn
starts off really well and has that one scene where you realize that they're in trouble, and it's like because there's a guy just hanging off their van or something, and it's a really good
it works.
scene.
Right.
And the setup is really good, but the end is just kind of like a kind of a dumb slasher. At this point, I'd probably really enjoy it more. But yeah, I mean, he's a guy. He's a guy I find interesting because he's like not as prolific. Larry Cohen, Pete Walker. These
right. But
weird stuff that all has good stuff in it, but they just can't.
Well, look at Squirm, right? Squirm. Yeah. Looks great to me. That would have been a great time to make movies when people were getting together and making these little movies like Squirm.
Right.
It tries a lot. It's ambitious. It has people and locations in it, and things happen. And
it's really weird.
Yeah,
I think it has a great sense of place, and the community.
Yeah,
they do a good job. I don't know why people just seem to offhand hate it. I mean,
it is a bit of a. I mean, would you judge it as a horror comedy? In a lot of ways, it's a little silly. Also, I mean, let's face it. This is about fucking worms killing people. So because of electricity. So
I think people, but I mean, that I'm fine with however you make the monster. You know what I mean? Electricity hits this. Somebody makes a serum. Maybe there's a Venusian disease that comes on the moonland, whatever happened in Night of the Living Dead. I can get past that. I don't, as long as the worms or the rats or the monsters are coming. But I find that if you actually watch it, it also has a silly title. It's got a real
here's an
I didn't know it was on that. It was I agree. MST.
But I really like that episode is actually really funny. I remember a great time. A bunch of us were on vacation, and we were I don't know. It might have been doing Lovecraft shit once, and we were in the
Necromonicon.
We all went into one hotel room, and that was on. And it's just Massachusetts. It's a funny episode. And to be honest with you, probably every other time I want to watch Squirm, I'll watch the MST3K version. But yeah, you have always. I remember years ago, you were getting pissed off because you wanted to watch movies, and every movie that was available streaming was the
Was
Rift Tracks version
yeah.
or something.
I don't. I just I find that stuff funny, but I just like to watch the movie. You know,
Yeah.
I lost Revenge of Nature Week.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a weird group of yeah,
Oh,
frogs.
oh man, Frog
It's
sucks.
Frog sucks. Empire of the Ants I saw in the theater on a double bill with Food of the Gods. And
Food of
those
the
two
Gods
movies,
is wacky as shit.
yes.
Both of them are wacky as
I
shit.
think they're both Burt Gordon, AIP, I believe. I didn't see Kingdom of the Spiders until much later. Kingdom of the Spiders has some okay scenes in it, but it's is that the one with Shatner?
Oh Jesus, I'll
The
have
one
to
that has
look it up.
Shatner it actually has a really creepy ending. Really creepy, like one of those bleak '70s endings.
Oh
But
yeah, yes, it is from '77.
it's it it's not great, but that ending is pretty good. I also, I like those movies. I finally caught Grizzly and Prophecy and Day of the Animals. The
Yeah.
problem is, I like that shot of Shatner going, I'm not doing this. Look at that though. That's fucking awful.
Yeah, yeah.
I
Fun stuff.
still don't find animals scary though. And I'm scared of spiders, but I don't get scared at them. And I know there are people who have a phobia.
Mm,
Like there's never like I think I said this one. There'll never be a snake in a Jill Thompson drawn Beast of Burden.
really,
She's
because
actually
wow.
that freaked out by snakes. She said, "I'll do one from memory. I'm not looking at pictures of it." I have never had a deep phobia like that of animals. But eagles are coming. Woo.
Well, you fucking. I was saying this to Stevie before, right? Vampires, you have half the day to figure out what's going on.
To
Werewolves,
leave.
werewolves, right?
In a
Werewolves,
month.
a couple of days a month.
Yeah,
Fucking zombies, they're the problem.
they
They
suck.
never stop.
No, they just want to go to the mall.
Bullshit.
Yeah, no, vampires. I don't know. Vampires, yeah, bore the shit out of me because yeah. I mean, there are vampire films I like, and I really like werewolves.
Oh no, I'm talking about in real life.
Oh yeah,
How we deal with in real life.
yeah. What
Because
about mummies? What
hold
about
on.
mummies, Paul? Paul, mummies.
Yeah, I mean,
Come on,
again,
Elizabeth. I'm coming, Elizabeth.
mummies become
Triple.
progressively worse as you get older. As your feet hurt and your knees hurt, yeah, the mummy's more
True.
worrisome.
But you know what? You put yourself there.
It's funny.
You fucking put yourself there. That's your problem. I'm not scared of mummies.
Here's the thing.
Fuck you.
I was thinking the thing that separates
The thing is terrifying.
zombie groups, right, is there's a group of people that grew up who watched Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah.
And their life is obsessed with where will I hide? Where
Yes.
will I get clean water? And
Dawn
then
of the Dead spawned a lot of role-playing game sessions.
oh yes.
Well, we'll go to Playland and block it so we can play pinball all day. That's what we died every time we tried going into Manhattan and Rob Beck and us playing. And it was like, I think we're supposed to really do a survival thing here, not a do you want to go play at Playland?
Right.
Because you can get all the corners you want.
But the other group is the people that
zombie.
go, I don't care if there's zombies in it, and the people are the zombies. Hey, look, that's all fine and good, right? Who's the Walking Dead? I don't care about that. I really grew up obsessed thinking, well, this isn't going to fucking work. You can't just be here.
I'm generally not interested in the new society social politics aspects of zombie things because they're usually half-assed and boring. I'm really not interested in the Lord of the Flies aspect of it all. I want to see them fighting zombies, I guess, or and the thing is, zombies are a great low budget thing because you just slap some shit on somebody and you tell them to walk like they shit themselves, and you got zombies. But now there's all these movies all over the world that are being made by people who are like, we really can't even afford zombies. So what would it be like to be in your house the whole time it's happening outside? We'll have somebody thump on the walls. Come on.
Yeah, the thing is, you
compare Harold fucking Pinter with zombies out there.
It's why the original Dawn of the Dead, for me, is so superior to the remake because even though the remake's beginning is so good, I couldn't, once they get to the mall,
It's dead.
I could not care less. And then they make a super zombie killing, two super zombie killing buses.
That's what's his face.
Who the
That's
fuck,
but
how do
what's
you
his
do that?
You know why? Because George Romero was an adult, and he didn't take it all so seriously. But when they came, but he took the mechanics seriously, And Zack Snyder's a child. His fetishes are childlike. So getting into your little battle wagon, your 18 battle,
With your slots for your fucking chainsaws
it's just,
that you give civilians.
he made a video game ending because he didn't know how to end it. You know, it's hard to end a film when you have the budget to actually have all those zombies. What do you
Yeah.
do? You have F-16s show up and strike. So he had his dumb ending, and then he had his. I hate the end of that movie because
Oh, it's that
who
actually
puts a head
we were so angry leaving the theater. We were like fucking ending.
that
right?
movie had our attention.
Yeah.
Audience was you could sometimes you can feel when an audience is you're all on the same bus, and that opening is
It's so good.
the driver of that bus had us all, and then the movie just goes on and goes on. I only liked after that. I really only liked the scene,
The rooftops, some of the
the
rooftops.
rooftop stuff.
It's got a little. It has originality, and it seems like another problem that you might have to solve
Yeah,
if this bullshit was happening. Not zombie babies. Not
The
what should I do with the evil security guards. I mean, in the original movie, there's a scene. You just rewatched it. It's very subtle. Flyboy, who has not been who the other guys don't take as seriously. There's a part when he like brings a folder and he's talked about knowing
yeah,
what's going on behind the scenes, and they slap him on the back or
yep,
something, and it feels like he has joined them
yeah,
in it.
yes.
There's not a film moment in the remake that comes close to that.
There's a okay. So it's funny because I mean I have not seen it in quite some time, longer than I probably. And there was a lot of things that I remembered wrong or didn't remember at all, and a lot of them had to do with character bits. One was that Flyboy is a jerk.
Yeah.
He's really not. He's not. I mean, he has. I mean, I disagree with how he handles his romantic relationship with Fran, but he is not a completely insensitive
No,
asshole.
no, no, no.
And Roger is not a lunatic gun nut. I always remembered the scenes with him showing him how to shoot. Those scenes are great, by the way.
Yeah. Oh yeah, bang.
And the thing is, the logic is kept through that because later on they show them practicing shooting, blah blah blah. But Roger's actually very calm, cool, and collected until he snaps.
Yeah.
He gets progressively worse. In the opening scenes, Roger is talking to the rookie and basically taking him under his wing and telling him it'll be okay, stay cool. He even tells one of the gang members to don't go out there because they're going to shoot him.
Yeah.
And right off the bat, I was like, wait, Roger's not. He's not he's not a horrible.
No, it's
nut.
Yeah, it's a very what I didn't remember.
He's not a macho jerk, and in fact, it turns out that they hired the guy who played him because he didn't play him. He didn't do the reading as a macho guy. He did it as a cool guy, and they used that. They used his interpretation, and it's just. I think the character work. I'm surprised when people say the acting's terrible in Dawn of the Dead. I think Romero has a lot of problems with actors in his films. And he also seems to let them improv a lot, and sometimes that doesn't work for him. But watching this movie more carefully because I've seen it so much, I was really surprised at how tight the characters come together. They don't fight like dogs and cats like a lot of movies. They don't have in fact, they do have an evil guy, but they dispatch him, and dispatching the evil guy at the opening, the racist maniac, is how Peter and Roger meet and how they bond. And I never noticed that before. I don't think I ever caught that Peter was in the hallway. you know, because it's interesting. This big, tall guy blows him away and walks off,
Yeah,
and they
I
bring
think
him back.
I think one of the things is there's some a kind of indescribable bullshit extrasensory ESP thing you do with kind of new actors or not experienced actors. There's something about the way they move or the way they
Yeah,
read their lines. So the thing is, yeah, you watch Dawn of the Dead, and those actors look a little new, a little they're a little boxed in,
yeah,
but their characters work so well. They play so well off of each other
I think so.
that I don't understand where the criticism come from. Would it have been better if it was Meryl Streep and you went, oh well, Meryl Streep's
Well,
pregnant now, and you know what? I don't.
yeah, I honestly think there's some people who only think good acting is crying, screaming, and you know, very very outgoing acting, or lots of emotion. And what I found interesting about Dawn of the Dead is, in fact, there was one person. And again, you can't take IMDb stuff seriously, pro or con on the whole. It's amazing when you go, my God, I think this person gets it. You know, that's everybody's opinion varies. But when you have somebody actually get, they yell and scream in writing, and you have this screaming woman, and they all have to rescue her, and I'm like, first of all, she doesn't scream in the entire movie. That's a point of the film. Fran is scared. Fran never freaks out or screams.
Right.
Um, and yeah, they left her behind. It's a plot point because they're treating her like she's not important to the team at first. I mean, I'm amazed at how tight some of the stuff is in Dawn. I mean, the extended version, I like it because I like watching the characters get friendly.
Right.
It really, really works because they give it time
Yeah.
between because Flyboy and the others do not get along, and eventually he brings things to the team.
Well, it's. Did you also notice? I found this watching. I noticed how escaping was a big fucking deal. Like it wasn't just like, you know what, everything's gone to shit. Fuck this job, I'm leaving. It looks like there's martial law and people are
Yeah.
supposed to be staying. Now, I always got that before because obviously they have to be quiet when they're going to their different sections. Just the scene where it's like, hey, do you have a cigarette? No, we don't have
I love
cigarettes.
that.
And
I
then they
love that.
all light up, right? It's really interesting.
It's a really. I knock Romero a lot. I've knocked Romero a lot in our talks, but I was really knocked out about how subtle so much of this stuff was because he's not very subtle in a lot of things. But yeah, he doesn't have characters always say what they're feeling the way I think they do in Day of the Dead and the rest of his movies. That scene with the cigarettes, that scene with the cigarettes is so cool because you get in a sense of we're gonna have to fuck people over. We're stealing this helicopter. We're not giving anybody cigarettes.
Right.
You know,
Let's just briefly touch on the fact that Evan and I are both not really big fans of Day of the Dead at all.
I
Uh,
don't think it's a terrible film, but I think it's a
yeah,
really
and
flat,
that
flat,
might come from response to Dawn of the Dead. I think there's
flaky.
there's been issues. The problem is for me, Day of the Dead. I was very excited for Day of the Dead,
Same here.
and it let me down. And Dawn of the Dead feels like one of those life-changing horror or movie moments. I
Well,
said
you
this.
don't like Night very much,
No, I don't. I like
and
the remake.
I
I don't
do,
like.
but
Yeah,
I like the remake as well,
yeah,
which is not a popular opinion, I think, but
yeah.
some people are coming around to it.
No, I think more people. Look, I look. There is, you know, that's the thing
Or
with Night of the Dead.
I thought Dawn was like 1980, 81. I was
May,
surprised it was 78.
maybe the thing with the original Night of the Living Dead problem I have is maybe the threshold for that acting I can't get past. Like some people can't get past
In
in
Night,
Dawn of the Dead. Yeah, in Night because there's something about this, and it's so weird because I know there's an order to it, and I know mythologies and world building. It grows, it evolves, but there's things that happen, and I go, well, that doesn't make sense for Dawn of the Dead. It's an OCD thing,
yeah,
and
I
it's
mean, we all have it to a degree. I mean, I think anybody who's hanging out with us here basically doesn't have doesn't just do. I'm turning my brain off for every single film I watch. I don't turn my brain off for the whole film, but I can turn my brain off for certain things and go, yeah, that effect didn't look very good. I don't care. I'm enjoying the film, or something like that. And the thing is, I like Night of the Living Dead. I like the remake, and I also like except I hate the last like 2-3 minutes of it very much because it's bad Romero. It's very bad Romero. He's already stated the things that he's
I'm sorry, which one? I phased out for a second.
the remake. When Patricia, when Patricia Tallman Barbara
Yeah.
reaches he loves to show Okies fighting, shooting, and molesting zombies, and I'm like, I'm sorry, maybe that will happen, but the idea that the Night of the Living Dead scenario happens, and literally like the next day, you're putting your neighbor. I mean, you live in the mountains, you know these people. You living in the countryside, so they're putting zombies into fighting pits, and I'm like, you're all related to these people.
Well,
Oh,
I don't
right,
know.
that's true. My father died recently, and if he came back as a zombie, I would definitely be, we'd be cutting pieces of him up and stuff like that, and going, shit, you missed him.
Hey,
Shit.
hey, everybody. We
I
do a
mean,
horror podcast.
Romero's jokes and social stuff is usually spot on politically for me,
Yeah.
but
Oh, yeah.
terribly overwritten or pushed in your face. In Dawn, there's a lot of stuff done visually. There's a
And
lot of stuff done
think of
visually, and
the
there's a lot
action.
of unsaid stuff.
Do you just said every time you watch that movie, you watch it and you go, they got to clean up this fucking mall by the
Oh,
morning.
well,
They
I
got
could
to
not
fucking.
believe how fuck. I read up on it. They
Well,
have.
one second. Could you let's take this
Yeah,
question. I don't
let's
want
take
to
some
do.
questions and stuff.
Well, no. We could just think.
Oh,
28 Days Later is, I think, I really like 28 Days Later and what it did, but I mean, to me, every few years something luckily happens where I don't hate zombie movies. Like I think Train to Busan was terrific. I think, you
Shaun of the
know,
Dead.
I think Shaun of the Dead is terrific. I think One Cut of the Dead is a once in a generation film, even if you count it. So I understand that. I think 28 Days Later did a lot to kind of modernize what we get of stuff that I mostly don't prefer now, which
Yeah,
is,
I don't care. I'm fine with fast moving zombies. I'm fine with slow moving zombies. I think that anybody who can't watch a movie because it has one or the other are kind of childish. But I like 28 Days a lot, and I thought it was really scary. We saw it in the theater. We probably saw it together. We were probably in a group.
yeah, I didn't see the other one. I was sick for that, and I've still never seen it.
But 28 Days Later, my problem with it was, and it's funny because when I read up on it afterwards, the director actually admitted, not that he had the same opinion, but they realized that they did all three of Romero's films in 28 Days Later. The first third is Night of the Living Dead. The second is Dawn to a degree, and the third is Day when they reach Doctor Who, who's not nice in this generation. And I didn't care much for the last third because it ran out. It became
Yes.
the man is inhuman, and I'm like, every fucking Romero murdered that bit.
I think for me, when I remember that movie, I don't remember the ending as something that really affects it. And I do think that's.
I remember really being glad for the characters that don't get eaten or beat up, or the ones that get away. I mean, emotionally, I was with the film, but when I watch them, maybe it goes back to kidhood. There were very few films where I feel that the monster stuff, the human stuff, which keeps the film cheaper, having people talk and argue and things helps your script go. I mean, from the 30s on, because it's more expensive to have your monster show up and to have stunts and to just fire scenes, whatever. Movies that can integrate the quote boring stuff.
Right. Well, I
monster. And 28 Days Later, I don't, as a kid, I was like, I want more monster. And 28 Days Later, I was like, I know the military sucks. We've seen this. We've seen this not in, it just didn't work for me. Brain Dead's another one that's just awful. It's like if spokes coming out of a center. Brain Dead is definitely one of the spokes.
Well, here's the thing. There's a relationship story between Brain Dead. There are two movies that Evan went to see, and he said to me, you have to fucking go in the theater and see this. One was Brain Dead.
I think I saw Brain Dead with Bob Fingerman.
Yeah, and the other was The Killer.
Oh,
because you had seen The Killer first.
I lucked out on that one.
And we had an interesting experience watching that in the theater. But
was that the one where they yelled at Pat?
No, they laughed at.
Oh, they laughed at us. Yeah,
they laughed at all of us because in a maybe insensitive part, one of the Asian characters' name comes up, and it says Sydney, and we're like, "Oh, Sydney's his name," and some guy yelled at us, "Racist shits."
Yeah.
But we thought he said race of shits.
Yeah.
Which sounds very much like Race of Doom
from Devo,
which is Devo. So
race
of shits. So I apologize. I didn't expect his name to be Sydney.
Yeah, for some reason Sidney Fung, I think is his name.
Yeah.
I don't know. We are friends with Tony Yang, so I don't know why we laughed.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was just also the thing is you had weird translations and subtitles back then. You got
shit! It was
even in the theaters.
Yeah.
You would get lines that are not in the movies anymore because they were made up.
Yeah, and
The Killer was amazing.
And with Brain Dead, I remember we had to see that like late at night one day. It just blew me away. It's so good. I remember my obsession in collecting physical media meant the only way you could get an uncut Brain Dead DVD was to get like a German version that had an English audio track, but burnt in subtitles. Not burnt in subtitles, forced subtitles. So I had to re-author the DVD. This is how nuts I was because I wanted to get a copy of this because that movie is.
I need to rewatch it. I've only seen it. I haven't seen it again since I saw it in the theater.
Oh, wow! It is gross.
I know.
It is
so gross and
funny. It is Pink Floyd's The Wall. It is a little of everything.
The ending with the fucking balloon. I don't know that. And of course, there's the scene with the pus, which
there's well, that's the thing. I remember Peter Jackson's.
Your audio's out. Hello? The audio's out. Hold on. Your mic's off. Am I alone here? Is there anybody here still? Help. Help. Am I alone? Can anybody hear me? I made a sign. You can't even see it. Mic's off. If people can hear me, hello. Do my little Percy Dove tonsils. Hello. Ernie Kovacs. Winky is right here. I don't know if you can see Winky.
Hello.
Hey, you're back. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me? I can hear you.
I hear you.
I'm sorry. It's these. I have cordless headphones on. I'm trying something new, so I could feel more loose.
I hope you're wearing underwear. I mean, it's like don't get crazy.
No ball walking.
No ball walking, son.
No ball walking.
We're just talking. Oh, Brain Dead. I've never seen the Ghoulies. The Ghoulies are nuts.
Ghoulies 3. That's on my list. Ghoulies 3 goes to college or whatever the fuck the name is. I watched that and I kind of liked it.
I've only seen Ghoulies 1, I think. This year I saw Critters for the first time. Yeah, I haven't seen much Zack Snyder stuff though.
I watched Rebel Moon. I thought it was abysmal. It's just not for me.
I actually don't know what Rebel Moon is.
Rebel Moon, Zack Snyder decided to pitch an adult R-rated, supposedly Star Wars story to Lucasfilms. They said, we don't want this. He's now at Netflix. He makes a ridiculously long two-part epic called Rebel Moon, which is his Star Wars meets... the best thing was someone on Twitter said it was Battle Beyond the Stars because it's Seven Samurai, it's Magnificent Seven, it's Dune, it's people brought up that a lot of the look is Warhammer 40K, you know,
Sure, I can believe.
and and you know, it's just
He's a kid. He's a kid with
it
all
was,
the
yeah, what it's what you were saying before. Yeah, yeah.
he's a kid with all the toys. His fetishes are he stunted, and I find him completely uninteresting. I he did Army of the Dead, right? I mean, if it
Yeah.
I was like I wanted to watch a zombie flick. It's probably why I ended up watching Dawn of the Dead. I'm like, I don't want to watch 2 hours of Zack Snyder though. I just I mean, I
It's
just
yeah.
feel like I'm not going to be surprised and I'm not going to be excited. But I mean, who
Well,
knows?
not only that is this version that came out was like 2.5 hours or something long, and it's a PG, and there's supposedly a longer R-rated version, and they say, well, the thing is, you know, this will have more character development because a lot of criticism is the character development is he goes on. It's like Seven Samurai,
He doesn't
and
understand people. He's one of those, you know what I'm saying? He's
yeah,
one of those guys who does comics who only learned from comics. He's a pop culture brained, shut in almost. I mean, intellectually. I
well,
mean,
here's an interesting thing.
it's
It's kind of ugly looking too, and there have been, I mean, certainly more interesting looking Zack Snyder films over the years, and this one just looks, blue screen, green screened, ugly.
the thing for me. It's like
You know,
you're an adult, right? And ever since you were a kid, you wanted to do R-rated, titty and blood Star Wars. And you have all the at your
oh
fingertips. You
yeah,
got Netflix at your fingertips, and all you can think about is aliens cursing.
I think Titty Star Wars is something to keep in the
I'm
back.
sure. I'm sure it's been done
Right.
in porno.
Oh no, there's definitely been hardcore Star
Sure.
Wars things.
Yeah. Fuck me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only whatever. I didn't see
Well,
Watchmen because I don't care.
I saw Watchmen. I didn't like it. Full disclosure, I'm not that big of a fan of the comic. I'm sorry.
I used to love the comic. I have not reread it in a long time, and like anything, it does certain things really well that I remember, and there are some things that were at the time were for comics at the time a big deal. I don't know what it is with Alan Moore. Like I like Alan Moore. I like his some of his writing. I like his stances. I like the fact that he
Oh yeah.
cut his. I got rid of all my Alan Moore stuff years ago. I just realized I'm never going to reread. I didn't. I did not like V for Vendetta anymore, and I did keep my Watchmen book because Watchmen's just got some neat stuff in it, and it's my graffiti slipcase
Yeah.
old
To, to, to,
object.
to quickly say what I don't like about Watchmen is everyone praised it. I read it. I felt like it does something that I detest in writing, which is to set up a great. It's a mystery box, right? I was thinking this the other day that Moffat, the guy who did Sherlock and Doctor Who stuff, and J.J. Abrams, they shit in their mystery box, right? They go, "Here's my mystery box," and when you open it, it's shit because when you get to the end, it does it. I'm not just the journey. I want a payoff if that's part of what you're giving me in the story, right?
So you're saying
So
that
I feel like
the ending that a lot of people hated, you hated.
right, and yeah, I think the ending of Watchmen, the way it's presented, the way the comedian is affected by what he sees from it, and considering that I feel like Alan Moore just really just takes a lot of his ideas from other things, which is how things work. I'm not,
It's a
you
problem.
know,
No, it's a real problem I have with Alan Moore's stuff. Is that for all the original takes on things, his work is always seems to be standing on other stuff in a noticeable way, in a very noticeable way. That I forget what book Halo Jones was very similar to. Uh,
the never ending war.
Haldeman? I don't think so. I don't know.
I always say that, and I think I'm always wrong, but whatever.
Dr. and Quinch,
Is OG and Stiggs.
Stiggs, and his Watchmen is all Charlton characters, which is if you do it, and then everything he does is like a comment on stuff that I don't know. Like I was really excited by League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, I love Kevin O'Neill's art. I bought the first series, and I just felt it had the problem that a lot of that stuff, a lot of that, once the characters are introduced and the team has gotten together, all the fun stuff, the rest of
Yeah,
it's boring. And again, I'm like, oh, the Invisible Man's getting raped by Mr. Hyde, and I just
yeah, yeah.
maybe
It
I'm a
just
baby, but I don't find that I just find that silly. And I did, and yeah, I like that he brought in all these characters and look, oh, it's is it got
well, look,
has he got? I also was annoyed, which is not really
oh,
true. I was really annoyed by the letters pages where people were just like falling all over themselves because they noticed that he has Dr. Nicolo or whoever the hell from some Victorian romance steampunk thing from 1910. And I'm like, that's all Easter egg shit, though. Like, get. I just did not. I don't care for his deconstruction stuff.
right. Just to get to this fast, yes,
I mean, he did that, didn't he do a story that was just a Stephen King story in V?
Well, the problem is if you look at his career, he's always
Banana.
doing that. He's always reinventing and rethinking, and it's this and that, and it's how, and that's fine. He will write what he writes. It's just not for me.
Yeah, I just something about
And
more.
and Alan Moore fans tend to be the kind of people in the 80s and 90s with that. I mean, I'm very contrary. So the arguments would
Yeah,
be insane
yeah.
about this shit. I mean, David Marshall, a good friend of ours, once,
Who has been on the live
yeah,
cast?
who's been on these live streams a couple of times. He actually set me next to a friend of his whose favorite thing was Watchmen, and he couldn't talk about it because he wanted us to get into an argument about it, which
That's
we did.
funny.
And that same fella, Evan and I met at a party, an after party that was happening around Comic Con, and this person was talking about his most hated films, and he just out of nowhere
Oh,
said,
that guy. Was
he
that the
said,
same guy?
Yes, he said Playtime, and that's one of my favorite movies. Synchronicity or bullshit, whatever.
That's amazing,
Oh,
though. Yeah, that was a really comfortable time because we weren't talking to we didn't know anybody there. So the one guy comes over and says, "I hate your taste.
I hate everything you like.
I hate everything you like."
You
You know who the
fuck.
worst person? I met the worst person on earth is Stevie the Arbiter.
Holy shit!
Holy crap, this guy! Oh no, I'm trapped in a really bad Harlan Ellison story.
Which one is that?
Uh,
Ooh, I love Harlan Ellison's nonfiction. I'm not a fan of his fiction. Full disclosure.
I think I just got sick of all of Harlan Ellison, to be honest, because his
Really?
nonfiction, I feel like he bullshits a lot.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think he's college reading. William Burroughs. I mean, yeah, there's some stuff in Burroughs that I like, but also it's hard to get past that he killed his wife.
Yeah. Yeah.
People who
That faux pas.
people who are boycotting half the world are like, Billy Burroughs is so cool. Bill is so cool. I'm like, he's one of the only murderers out there that we got. But I don't know. Let's not get into that topic. Paul, you saw Skinamarink.
Yes, it's Skidamore Stinks. No, it's
Skinnamarink?
it's an experimental film that I think goes on too long. I think
What
if
if
you
they do
try,
Skinema Ice Rink and it's like all those ski murder movies?
now we should call Brian because I'm sure he has a pun for this.
Skinema Ice Rink.
Yeah. What am I reading here? Sorry.
Do you remember Drive-In Movie on Channel 5 in the
Of
80s? That was my
course.
introduction to Hammer Horror and the Roger Corman AIP
And
films.
that's introduction to kung fu movies.
Yeah, I remember it more for Kung Fu. Well, Kung Fu was Kung Fu Theater. No, Drive-In.
Right, that's what he said, right?
Drive-In Theater. I think it was Drive-In Theater. I
Did he
don't
say drive
remember.
there?
I did not see Hammer films as a kid.
I don't particularly like horror films. I don't think there are some I think are okay. I think they're kind of boring. I whatever it is about the costuming and the and
Yeah.
the and the,
They're
the
stayed. They're kind
yeah.
of stayed. I enjoy watching them. It generally comes down to, is Peter Cushing in it? Is Christopher
Yeah,
Lee in it? I
yeah,
love
yeah.
the women are lovely. I know that's a big appeal to like the Bond films. Um, they look, the lighting is nice, the direction's nice, but they're very stagey. Which British films can, they can
Yeah,
rely on British actors and stuff.
I
I
do
don't find
not.
the story is super compelling.
Yeah, I do not like the Frankenstein series at all. There are
I like
some.
the ones I saw because I like their take on Frank. I like that Peter Cushing was a scumbag.
Yeah.
I like that I like him as an anti-hero. It's also interesting to see Peter Cushing as a villain. And
Yeah.
they really went with he doesn't care about how he gets parts, and he does not turn into Colin Clive at the end of Frankenstein. I mean, he's a real bastard. I was very
Yeah.
surprised when I saw
Yeah.
the first couple. That
He's so good.
I
He's so good.
I love Peter Cushing, and I can watch him in anything, which is even the Blood Beast horror, which is one of the worst films I've ever English horror films I've ever seen. It's like somebody was selling Doctor Who alien costumes on the side of the street. You'll see people selling sofas, and they got one real cheap, and then they put it on a string and hang it at the end of the thing. Ooh, it's just a boring, terrible film. But Hammer is not my go-to. I there's a lot of them I haven't seen. I think Curse of the Werewolf is good.
I think that the
That's
first
what it.
Dracula is good. I think
Yes.
Brides of Dracula is my favorite. I love it. Doesn't have Christopher Lee in it. It's just Peter Cushing as Van Helsing. But I think that really works.
I'm trying to. I mean, yeah, I haven't seen a ton of them.
I
I
kind of like the weirdness of the modern Dracula movies, like Satanic Rites and AD
Yeah,
72.
I watched the AD 70 one. It's not good, but it's just there's something very funny about it.
I just saw someone brought up in comments The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires. A bit of a Yeah, thank you,
I
Stevie.
still haven't seen those. Isn't there two Hong Kong
No.
Hammer films? Just one?
Well, no, there's multiple Hammer. Yes, there are. There's one. There's that one. There's I believe Man from Hong Kong is also one, and there
I
might be more.
I've always
It's Man. God, I
as a
hate
kid
being
I
old.
avoided them, and I don't know why. Because vampires and kung fu. But
It doesn't work that well. You know what's interesting is if you're a kung fu lunatic like me, to sit there and see
Kung Fu Lunatic.
Whoa!
That should be a movie.
Yeah, that's my opening ska
Actually,
band song.
it would be,
Kung Fu Lunatic.
but it would be lunatic kung fu if it was like following the 70s or 80s.
I'm skanking, by the way.
Lunatic kung fu.
Um,
He's using lunatic style. My kung fu is avoid.
but the
Avoid
thing is, you
style.
watch. There's Christopher Lee, and then there's these famous Hong Kong actors and stunt people, and you're like, wow, this is wild. But yeah, it doesn't gel very well for me.
There's certain films like that seem like hybrids of Western and like I've never watched the Dr. Goldfoot. I mean, very different films.
Oh, I loved those as a kid.
The Dr. Goldfoot and the Bikini
Especially
Dolls.
during puberty. Those were the best films during puberty.
Yeah, but now I want to see them because of their Bava films. I mean, they're supposed to be terrible, but still.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the Hammer stuff, I want to hunt that all down. Creeping Flesh is a movie. Someone's talking about the Creeping Flesh with Liam Cushing. I was really disappointed with it, but I should have seen it 30 years ago because it's more fun than the average Hammer film. I don't think it is a Hammer film. I'm not sure if it's Hammer or Tygon or anything like that. Yay! Yes, everyone should watch Horror Express.
It's so good. I was watching a video talking about Christopher Lee, Dark Corner reviews, I think on YouTube. They're great. They're English, and they're talking about just an overview of Peter Cushing.
Do they actually say we're British?
Yeah, well,
we're English
and
in Horror Express.
And the thing is, they show the humorous scenes, how well Lee and Cushing play off.
I want more of that in the movie.
It also has enough of a creepy story. Well, we did a podcast on this. Enough.
Yeah,
of
there's a full episode of Horror Express and Up from the Depths, which is one of the funniest bad films I've ever seen.
I was just thinking today, Up from the Depths, there's a scene where these assholes are going to hunt this monster, and they blow up a boat. And all I could think of is people I grew up with. Oh, he would have blown up the boat. He would have done that. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The problem is we know for a group of people who weren't super violent, drug addicts or anything like that, we know a lot of people who would do dumb shit in horror movies, like getting boats with spear guns and flamethrowers. This will work.
Why
It
not?
can't fail.
Right.
I
How
would
old
love
are
to see
you?
some-
How old are you, Evan, that you know how this flamethrower works?
I know it's true. It's true. I didn't even have a car at the time, probably. But yeah, Horror Express is to me one of it's always on my page of favorite horror movies. I mean, it's bonkers. It's funny. It looks good. It has no money and it just does everything. Hi, hey baby.
Aw.
It's Winky.
Aw.
It's Winky.
Aw.
Hi. She
Well,
watches everything.
my cats didn't show up, and I was worried with this
Were they invited?
amazing, with this. I don't know. Ask Ronnie. There was this. I don't know if this amazing light display comes across very well, but I was wondering if
I'm
they were
seeing
gonna bring it
some. I'm seeing some spark. It looks like there's lights coming together, and then
back. Okay, that's good.
I can't
That's
see a lot.
you're having a
I can't see a
stroke.
lot of it.
Okay,
But
that's fine.
it's one of
It's
these.
not.
You changed
it's
the
a-
angle. It almost looked like you had phone boxes or a shower back there.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
the shower effect. But Creeping Flesh is on my. I don't have this list. I have a lot of lists, but I don't have the movies that I was tracking down from my childhood. Because there's certain films that you couldn't find or see easily, or you just kept missing them. It's like, it took me forever to see Forbidden Planet
Mm,
because fucking Channel 2 wouldn't show it until 1 in the morning or 11:30, or
yeah.
and I had to become old enough to be able to stay up. But then I got a TV in my room and never went to sleep 6 in the morning before school. And Creeping Flesh was one of the ones that people were like all agreed in the fan magazines. It would get mentioned in articles about Peter Cushing or Christopher Lee because they didn't have much to write about me. They were like, "Hey, Hammer," and it's like, you just did Hammer, Famous Monsters. You fuck. Harryhausen, you fucking did that already. Because there was nothing to.
Yeah.
That's why Starship Invasions and the Incredible Melting Men got fucking covers.
Oh, but they're great.
Laser Blast. You know what I
Laser
mean?
Blast. I once watched that just on my birthday to celebrate.
I saw that in the
movie's
theater.
Stupid.
And
Really, you lucky bastard.
they shot a Star Wars billboard. That's that's fucking awesome. So it's like something like Creeping Flesh was like one of those films that you heard about all the time, and one of them. Witchfinder General was a big disappointment for me. That one I got off the bucket list about a year ago. But these are the ones where they're like, yeah, if you don't like Hammer films, you'll like The Creeping Flesh. I have the anti-algorithms. If you can't stand all this crap, you'll like Horror Express. But what did I just? But yeah, there was the Hammer films you really should see. Here's the vampire films you should really see because they're not quite like the others. And it's like, yeah, I just didn't care for Creeping Flesh. I was like waiting for it to pick up, but in the end, the Creeping Flesh monster was kind of goofy, and just not enough happened. But I mean, I'll watch anything with Peter Cushing.
But that's kind of like, unfortunately, my problem with most Hammer.
Yeah,
I don't think a lot happens. I don't think it's usually, it doesn't grip me.
Yeah, it just feels. It's like you feel like somebody's putting on a show throughout the entire film. It's just,
and I can understand it. I mean, the way you would grow up, there's so many of them to watch. There's so much to get into.
I don't mind that the effects aren't great or anything like that because they're not great in so many other things. But I also don't love the Corman stuff either. I think there's just something about that period of period films that just does. I mean, period films don't work for me in a lot. Like
do you like the Corman, Edgar Allan Poe cycle stuff?
I think they're okay.
Okay.
They don't thrill me. Some of it when he was trying real hard looked really good. Mask of the Red Death has some cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
But it just they all feel the same. Also he had Matheson working on those, so I mean they're not dumb.
Right. But then there's the weird standouts like The Raven. I find interesting.
Well, The Raven's hilarious.
Because it's
The Raven is just jerk.
goofy. Yeah.
jerking around. You've got drunk Peter Lorre. You've got poor old Boris Karloff. And
Yeah.
Vincent Price is really trying, and all around him, these people who are forgetting their lines. And I love The Raven, though, but The Raven is just one of those. The Raven is kind of like Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein in a way. It's kind of like Roger Corman meets everyone or something like that. Isn't Nicholson in that?
I believe so. Yeah.
I think he's like,
Yes.
yeah. I mean, it's just
Like a weekend went by and they made The Terror or something.
it's
Is that
yeah.
what it's?
I've never seen The Terror because everybody says it's terrible.
Yeah, that was one of those late night, nothing to
It was
watch.
always on, but it looks boring, and it is a period.
Yeah, it's
People,
pretty
what is it,
boring.
Napoleonic? But I mean, I don't know what it is. I was thinking about this recently because I was reading an interview or listening to an interview in the car going to physical therapy, and it was about NPR about this new movie coming out, and I realized I don't like biopics. I do not like biographical movies on the whole.
Yeah.
Because they are one, they always seem to be Oscar bait, just naked Oscar
Yeah.
bait. And it's two, it always seems to be about the director has a hard on for this period. He's such a fan of this person or this period of life that he or she wants to spend a bazillion dollars to recreate scenes that you've already seen in other movies because they're usually making Marilyn Monroe or you know what I mean. Now, people love Oppenheimer. It sounds interesting. It seems to have a point of view. I don't know, but I find biopics. First of all, you know how they end.
Right.
They just seem to be a fever dream for somebody who has a fetish for the main person or an era, and recreating like it's like the Chaplin thing. Oh, look how he recreates Chaplin.
Yeah.
I find that a very empty exercise. Ed Wood I like a lot, but Ed Wood is a weird.
Yeah, Ed Wood's odd. Yeah.
But Ed Wood is also, let's let's redo scenes from a movie you can go see. I mean, I would rather watch the bad Ed Wood films than the film about Ed Wood, and I like Ed Wood. To me, it's my favorite Tim Burton film, but I really don't like Tim Burton. I think he's an art director and he's almost got the Landis thing of I've got an idea for this scene that's going to be great, and then I got to do a bunch of shit to get to it. What am I going to do? They'll sing Deo around the table. What the fuck does that have to do with? That is such a contrivance that it's like, what song could you get the rights to or something like that? I just was like, why would anybody come up with that? I mean, they came up with it, but what a horrible scene in Beetlejuice. I mean, but Beetlejuice to me is like all those other films. It's like the strength of the personalities in front of you, the actors, nice art direction, and he loses his character track. He loses the plot.
Maybe that's why Ed Wood works so well because he really is.
He didn't write it. That's one thing.
He's and it's a tighter story.
It actually really is. I mean, it concentrates on certain. Now, the thing that I like about Ed Wood, which a lot of people obviously responded to, was the love for Bela Lugosi and the fact that Bela was a really sad character.
Yeah.
So there was some interesting hooks in Ed Wood. Also, it's about Ed Wood is different also in a way. In that it's a movie about not non-famous people. It's a movie about losers and dreamers.
But that a lot of people know about.
A lot of people know about it.
They're famous for being shitty.
But at the time, a lot of people didn't. It was pre-internet, and not everybody read Nightmare on Ecstasy and read all that. Psychotronic.
Went to the film forum when that Lost Ed
Wood film, watched Jailbait and Night of the Ghouls, and had the Drew Friedman card set. I don't know. I'm not saying I had all these things because I was an Ed Wood geek, but I mean, it was a small movie about small people, and that I kind of got a kick out of. I don't really want to see a Marilyn Monroe or an Elvis movie. I don't care how you play it.
The Elvis movie was mind blowing to me. I watched like 5 minutes and I'm like, I'm scared. I don't understand what's going on.
It's literally a subgenre or genre that biopics do not work for me. Yes, look at how beautiful you made 1960s Harlem. Yes, oh look, it's Italy. Well, Italy they can make. oh boy, there's so and so in a career defining role as someone else. And it's like, it's like the old joke. People used to win Oscars because they played somebody who was, terminally ill, or had to get in the Elephant Man makeup or something like that. It's a very ostentatious kind of acting, because you're always acting, because you're always doing an impression of this person throughout, even if it's quiet and not crazy. People see it. Look at them act. And it leaves me cold. It's something that I obviously have a thing against. But even as a kid, I didn't care about. I didn't want to see the Evil Knievel movie.
I tried to watch that recently. He comes across as being too much of a hero for me to get through it. It's like, oh, come on.
And he
Come
was a
on.
he was a cocksucker. And it's like,
Yeah.
look. I'll watch him crash on Sundays,
Sunday.
and I'll watch him fall into a pit with his rocket.
Yeah.
I don't want to watch George Hamilton play him with whatever the fuck those movies are about.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was thinking of the Evil Knievel movie that he stars in.
Is that Viva Knievel
Yes, Viva Knievel. That was excellent. No, I couldn't get through it. It was terrible.
Good song, good musical numbers? But that's just me, because biopics all seem to have the same trajectory. I mean, the Elvis thing is supposed to go nuts.
But don't you see that as when there's genres of stuff that you don't like, it comes across as when people talk to you about genres of stuff that you do like. I mean, people have come to me and said, like, how could you watch so many kung fu movies? Aren't they all the same? It's like, when you watch them and you become kind of obsessed and you interesting, there's a world that opens up. People who collect stamps, it's exciting to them.
I like stamps. It's what I always said about heavy metal, which is not a genre that I have a huge affinity for. But no, I used to, when I was a kid, I'd be like, it's all the same. And you're like, no, not all hardcore is the same. Not all 8-bit chip music. Nothing is all the same, except maybe polka music. But I like polka music, so what the fuck,
Good for you.
Maybe they're talking about food, maybe they're not. So maybe they're talking about polka, because polka is like ska. I like you got to have polka band. But yeah, I mean, it's a subject. But so Mishima, A Life in 4 Chapters.
I don't know.
I have read Mishima. I have not seen. I think there's more than one film about Mishima, but yeah, that's not something I know anything about.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't. If people make, I mean, look, people can make whatever they make, and people connect to it. That's fine. But biopics are something that you start talking about how we're, so and so's getting into shape to be Muhammad Ali or this, and I'm just like, first of all, and the other thing I hate about them, this is actually something I do hate about them, is that people take them for truth. People take them to be the truth. There's a film about the Von Erichs, the wrestling family, and they kicked out of Von Erich. And I'm like, and they changed. I didn't see it because
I loved it. I'm a ridiculous Weird Al fan. I thought it was, look, it wasn't the greatest thing in the world, but it was fun.
Well, Weird Al film, isn't it? Like, it's a complete lie on purpose. Everything is outside.
He is actually, his parodies are actually super popular. Beat It is a takeoff of Eat It. Eat It is the first release. So yeah, and it has all these people, like I think what's his name? Emo Phillips plays Salvador Dali. There's this ridiculous thing. So it's silly, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's not this,
Well, one of the problems is
Oscar consideration.
Right. One of the problems is,
can you believe that this person is Al Yankovic?
Right. And what you were saying before is people walk away from these things thinking they've seen
history,
unflinchable fucking biography of this person, when half the stuff they show is bullshit.
That's the reason that really bothers me, because as a kid, I always thought, I'm a dumb kid. You watch. I didn't see it as a kid, but let's say Night and Day, which I think is the Cole Porter film, and he's not queer, and all this other. It's like it's so untrue. I have a real problem with that. I have I'm very black and white about that. I almost feel like you got to hand out a slip of paper at the end of the movie that says, there was an extra guy, and we collapsed these two events. And no, he didn't do that. They didn't shoot a gun at the. I just, I know that art is a lie that tells the truth, but when you're talking history or biography, I'm like, maybe it
Yeah.
won't make a fun film, but if you've got to change everything, then it's not really. I don't know. I like
Right.
books for
Right.
that
Well,
shit.
oh, here I would since we might be at around the halfway point, I was gonna say since it's an year of the end review, I would like to mention three films that I loved. We don't have to talk in depth for them, but I think that
Go ahead.
what's interesting about them is two of them are because of our last live cast that we had with Scott.
With Scott, yeah.
It was stuff that you two had seen. So I want to I think the three best films I saw this year, and they're not all from this year, are The Blacksmith and the Devil,
That was terrific, right?
uh, uh, A Dark Song,
That was.
uh,
You did see it. I didn't know. Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and a Photograph, which is a Play for a Day British production.
Okay, I wanted to talk about that, but forgot the fucking name of it,
So
and I
so
didn't get to it. Yeah,
so yeah, so that was to me. Those are the three things that I would say if you're looking for a list of things. The Blacksmith and the Devil is a foreign film. Everything about I mean the clothes are great in it.
it's a
They
lovely.
look it's just really terrific. It works on every beat for me. A
And
Dark Song.
it's just one of those films. It's like City of Lost Children, or where you just feel like there's a mindset that you're getting.
Oh yeah, it's a work. There's a character who's made up to be a demon, and his outfit, his the prosthetics,
Really.
whatever they do, is so amazing. And the thought that all we do is watch these shitty CGI fucking
I
monsters these
when I
days.
watched it,
Ugh.
and you're in the scenes where you're going, where you're always trying to be two steps ahead of a movie or a book, because that's just the way our
Yeah.
minds work generally.
Right.
And I'm like, I remember watching it, and I had no idea what it was, so that was a nice touch too. That I just happened to. That's what I tried, and because it's very hard to guess what's going to happen in parts of that movie. It's like City of Lost Children or stuff like that, or the movie Tumbad. It's a foreign film, and it's foreign in several
Yeah.
ways. The
Yeah.
way that it's not a uh, straightforward storytelling, or you're not expecting.
Right. And you can't expect the mythology that they're talking about to make sense to you because it's not
It's
what
not your
you
yeah.
it's not your culture,
So when they but as the mythology of film, let's say, and you're expecting this creature to show up, I actually did not want them to do it.
Yeah.
When they're getting to that scene and they're foreshadowing, you're a shot or two ahead and you're going, oh no, they're going to show this. This is going to be awful,
Hmm.
and they fucking nailed it. And you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
this is not gargoyles, or you know
Right.
what I mean.
And
You're
and
not getting.
not
It's not a Sasquatch suit from any Sasquatch movie.
the,
Yeah,
the thing is that
beautiful.
not only is that characters look amazing, but the character itself and the arc that that character has in the movie
It's so.
is
I got to
is just
rewatch it.
wonderful. And it's not a very big part per
No.
se, but the movie just look if you kind of yeah. I think if that's a good analogy or a good comparison. The City of Lost Children, that kind of delicatessen. It's a new. You really feel like you're stepping in a different world, and it hooks you right away. At least it did for me. Totally sold on it.
Yeah,
So
it's
good.
world building without shoving it down your throat. The idea that the world outside, there is a world that lives outside of this movie. It's probably done on a nothing budget, but it's very theatrical looking, but not stagey theatrical. It's just that it's beautifully realized.
Well, I was saying about the clothes that I'm watching it, and there's a character that has this very vibrant green coat, right? And the coat looked like it was made of wool and didn't look like it was put together in
Yeah,
10 minutes.
yeah.
It's
It
like
didn't look like it came off the rack, or
right, yeah, or just so
kind of like kind of like Terry Gilliam stuff, except without
good.
Terry Gilliam's problems,
Yeah,
because you know what I mean?
yeah, yeah,
His
yeah,
is very, very, the attention to detail. so that things look lived in and they look real. Like they're not wearing a winter coat that doesn't look like a winter coat. If you know what I mean,
Right, right, right.
you know, it doesn't look like it's cobbled together
Yeah,
by the seamstresses and you know people behind the scenes. It really looks good.
yeah,
And the thing is that it's a kind of I don't want to oversell it. It's not like this epic, the most amazing thing you ever saw, but it's one of those movies where you watch it and you realize you're really enjoying yourself. That this movie is a joy to watch.
and as the story unfolds, and like you say, you're trying to guess what is going on, and as the reveals happen, whether you get them or don't, it's like, wow, that, oh, cool. There's a lot going on. I mean, the things that I liked best about it, I think would spoil it too much to
Yeah, I don't
over
want to talk.
talk about.
It's
But this
funny.
is,
It has stuff in the ending which I also didn't want them to do because I was like, nobody does this well.
yeah,
And I
but
was like, I'm not buying this 100%, but I'm buying it 90%, and that's
I'm, I'm
amazing.
I'm buying it for the level of the movie.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah.
ambitious and works. I think it works well. And
It's
again,
funny. There's a scene in a dark song at the end
yeah,
that I had the same kind of. I don't know if they should do this,
right, right.
and
Yeah,
I'm still not sure.
yeah.
But I will not forget it, which is what.
No, you can't. You can't.
But
So to
yeah,
talk about,
that movie, the blacks, it's just. I'm so happy I saw
yeah,
it.
you and Scott were talking, raving about that on the last video. I am very, yeah, sell that 100%.
I
Now
got
a
to watch.
dark song, you guys also sold me because it's a
This is
film
like the
that
opposite of the blacks.
I
It's
I would have never watched this movie because it has the hallmarks of everything I hate about modern horror.
I
It's a
agree with you.
one set. It's one or
It's a
two
two-hander,
characters.
as they
It's
say, over
nothing.
two
And
characters.
and you sold it as a movie about uh, casting a spell, say, and where the spell and the mechanics of casting this
It's
were important.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it's one of those
It's super.
things.
It's really it's an interesting take that somebody just said. Basically, everybody bullshits the magic.
Mm,
It's the magic scene is usually a ritual. We got somebody to sacrifice or some, or they get it over with. The ritual is a large part of is the center of this movie. Well, the characters are the center of the movie, and
but the
the
ritual
motivations. But the ritual is they go hardcore into this ritual.
but the ritual is important, and it develops the characters, it reveals
Yes,
the characters
yeah.
and their motivations and their
It's the
stories,
engine. It's the
right?
engine.
And the end, I mean, look, I now the scene at the end, the
Yeah,
thing you're talking about, which is a little jarring,
which
is a little jarring.
people are really divided on
But
it.
the very end, what all is said and done when that movie is over, I think is pretty wonderful. I hate the fact that I get so put off by, no, I don't like movies like this, so I'm not watching this shit.
But that's the thing.
Yeah,
It's the exception that proves the rule, though. I mean, it just good. It's a good script, good actors,
yes, yeah,
good art direction, and that one location is a fantastic location,
yeah.
and they shoot it well.
Oh,
And it's a complicated movie, and it's off-putting in some ways because
yeah,
there's only two characters, and one of them is not somebody that you want to hang out with.
yeah.
The spellcaster is. I think it's a terrific performance, but I wanted to throttle this motherfucker.
Even by the end,
No, but I'm just saying at the
yeah,
beginning.
yeah.
At the beginning, I'm like, I don't know if I
He's
can
a
watch.
yeah, he's an
He's one of
asshole.
the.
He is like, yeah.
But I don't find him unrealistic.
Hmm.
He's a cunt. Let's use the language that he would use. He's a real.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I would tell people because I think there are people who'd be turned off and be like, he's assaultive almost. Not to the, but to, he's a tough character to be around. I felt like A Dark Song was like one of the closest things that felt like a horror prose in a movie. It felt like a story, like you were not as. It's hard to explain.
Well,
It
for
just had a
me,
level of complexity in its, but it's a simple movie setup. It's two people in a house, a very large, house, estate type house in England. I think in England, it might be in Ireland. I can't remember, but I found it a movie that's for a movie that's not super scary. It's super tense, and it's
yeah.
The
Yeah, and
emotions work. And the characters work, and there's some good reversals in there, and it's simple. It's taut.
yeah,
It's taut, and it's creepy, and it feels. I don't like that. I guess when I'm saying it feels like a novel, people would say it's the
it's
elevated horror, but I don't love
but
that term.
but I don't. Yeah, to me, I think what works with it is it just it's a good idea, really well executed
And it's
for
very
me.
it's a very serious film.
Mm,
It's a and you know it's uncomfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable.
yeah,
I really liked it.
yeah,
It's not a film that I'm running back to see immediately, though. Like Saint Maud, it's a film where I'm like, I'm glad I watched this, but my stomach hurts.
yeah. I haven't seen that yet.
Saint Maud is a gut punch. Um, yeah, yeah. It's a it's not like a dark song, but it's a movie where you feel like this is a bummer ride,
Yeah,
and it's good.
yeah.
What was the third one?
I'm about to. That's your timing, Evan, is impeccable
Woo! Look
because
at
I was about to
I'm the Jack
share
Benny of shitty films. Oh
a
boy,
photograph,
this was
which
great. This
oh
was really
man,
cool because I did not remember that I had seen this.
yeah,
Paul said, you suggested I watch this. I turned it on. Again, we were talking before we went on the air or whatever. We were talking about Paul starts laughing. He goes, "Did you have to look up trailers for these?" Because we were talking about how many movies we want. And I said, "Yup. I wish I had gotten up earlier because I need to watch trailers for like almost all 300 movies. I cannot remember a goddamn thing." So he recommended this as a a folk horror related thing, and I'm like, oh, this sounds good. I'm watching it. I go, I think I've seen this,
yeah.
but I was so happy to watch it again because I picked up. It's
It's really, really good.
it's tough.
It's
It's
really,
another
really
tough.
good.
It's
Yeah.
tough. This was like
It
what an afternoon or early evening. One of those. It's not part of the ghost stories for Christmas or
no,
the
no. It was. I think it was part of a play for today, which could be anything.
right.
But Robin Redbreast,
It's
which is
that's what I did not know that this is,
the writer of that. Yeah,
and it's related,
yeah. There is a character that appears in both.
which is
Yes,
fascinating to me.
and to give you a context, it's um, it starts out. This is not spoilers, where the camera goes into a trailer and we go around and we see that food is spoiled and there's flies around and there's a dead body.
Yeah.
And now we go back in time and we're led up to what happened in
The
that.
funny thing is I forgot about the dead body because I was so involved with everything going on. I
Yeah,
didn't even I and it was the second time I was watching it, and kind of like minutes before some things were happening, I was going, "Oh, that's right, there was an opening. Oh
right.
shit!" Watching it for the second time and being able to look for other things was just
Yeah,
I loved it.
I
Um,
did. I did that myself because
the
I
high
had
con
watched it.
What's the high concept of it?
The high concept is
Which is
uh,
really good too. It's really cool.
a male comes and a couple. Uh, there's a card or a photograph which has a caravan and two figures, two women in it. They look young. It's hard to tell their faces or anything. And it basically starts where the wife, who we'll learn through the story, is very insecure about her marriage with this guy because he's a piece of fucking garbage. Uh,
He is. It's kind of brilliant because he's a piece of garbage without really being.
he's not a
He's not a
mustache twirling
exact,
villain.
and he's not a Jack Nicholson screaming. But boy, do you! But at the same time, I felt so sorry for him.
Well, there are moments that give you
It's such a good
that
script.
he doesn't seem to be the most inhumane. Well,
Well, he's somebody who
okay,
has. He's. It's interesting how they show how he acts with his wife and how he acts with other people.
right,
And he
and
also he's got a job on the radio. Is he a music reviewer or music critic?
I know he's a critic. I don't know if it's exclusively
Yeah,
music,
I don't remember.
but which and one of his recordings plays as a kind of mirroring of what's going on or what's
Right.
going on in the story. But anyway, they get a photograph,
He does
and
commentary and things like that.
right,
Yeah.
and he, he's like just sees the photograph and goes whatever, and his wife is like, "What is this? Are you fucking around on me? Why aren't you curious about this?" So now you're led on this thing. What is the photograph? Is it anything
Yeah.
real?
Oh,
What's
he
going
also
on?
teaches. I think they think it's a student or somebody
Well,
involved with
well,
his job.
we learn later that they as a couple, our married couple, got together where she was his student
Yeah.
when he taught,
Yeah.
and
Right.
this guy is very about domination, and yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Apparently, he's also in the Ice House.
Which is I have an honorable mention. There's another movie that I watched because of that. The last two stories for Christmas or Ghost Stories for
And we should
Christmas.
talk about those a little bit afterwards. I saw it's funny because England's a smaller country. They see a lot of people who do TV, movies, and radio, and they get to know, and we don't know them very well unless they've been on
Right,
Doctor Who once or Blake Seven or whatever the hell.
right.
And people were like, "Yeah, this guy was go-to pain in the ass, irritating, condescending. And people like him, but he played some miserable characters, none of whom were like, yes, yeah, villainous in an outsized way. Just he's amazing at everybody's amazing in it. That's one of the things that's great about it.
Yeah, it's very well acted.
She's terrific. He's terrific. The old lady who was also in Robin Redbreast is kind of amazing.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
like she's one of those I'm watching her and I go, oh, I want to draw her one day. Or somebody draw her for me. I really, really liked it. I would suggest watching Robin Redbreast first. It's not you don't have to, but it's good. Robin Redbreast was put on that big folklore.
Yeah.
I don't want to say more about a photograph because it's not just one mystery.
Yeah, it's a lot of mysteries. It's really good. My honorable mention is I think this is the second to last of the ghost stories, which is one called Stigma, which is a fantastic um, folk horror story.
really. I mean, it's funny because
Fantastic.
I think this is one of the two that were not based.
Exactly. This
People
is
don't tend to like
right.
Stigma and the Ice House. Oh, Peter. Oh, that guy was in. I know one of the comedies that dude's in.
Well, he was in a lot of the Avengers when we were kids.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Death at High Prices or something. I think he's in the department store one. The black
He's
and white.
also he's in the one where he turns invisible by turning around. He sits in the tub and he spins around.
I'm afraid to get into the Avengers because I know that I want to do them all because I just love the Avengers. Oh, God, I love the Avengers.
But the thing with Stigma, the thing that really works with Stigma, it's a fairly simple story, just really well executed. A family has moved into a new house. There's stones in the area, standing stones. Oh shit, ley lines and all that other crap. And basically, the couple wants one of the stones that's on their property, close to their property, removed. So it's what happens when they go to remove this stone. It's a couple and their daughter, and it's really really disturbing and really interesting. Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, I did see the Ice House because which I did not know was the same writer.
Right, and I do not like that. I think that kind of goes. I think I called that a hat wearing a hat, and the reveal is there's no hat, because that's what you're like. What the? Fuck?
It's like the atmosphere is not bad, but it just does not add up. And I had also been watching this year. I watched all of the M.R. James ones that I hadn't seen, and rewatched the M.R. James ones I had seen. I really just like them all.
Right,
I mean,
and you could
certain degrees, one better than the other, but I really enjoy. I believe that the guy who wrote A Photograph did write one of the M.R. James.
Oh, really? Okay,
I may have read the Treasure. He might have written the Treasure of Abbot Thomas. I could be wrong, but I think there's a connection there as well.
I think that I could understand people that are huge fans of that series thinking those last two deviate too much, but they were trying something new. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't condemn them for that. I mean, maybe that one just blew me away too much, but there's a just everything about it. Just there was also something that was going on that I had never quite seen before, and I was the way it was done. I was like, this is really interesting.
Have you seen the Nigel Neal Beast series?
I've seen some of them. I have. This is, oh God. I've come to the realization that I like people who rip off Nigel
Nigel
Neal
more
a
than Nigel.
little more than I like his stuff.
Sure. Okay.
I watched the one with the kid in the wall, that one. In the
Oh,
Beast, there's a Beast one.
Baby?
Right. And I feel
I think
like
that one's terrific.
I think there's some really creepy stuff in it, and I thought the ending was a little dopey. It is really come to be a block that I'm noticing I
That's
have.
interesting.
It's like the Stone tapes. I think at a certain point just kind of loses it for me. You know, there's a part. You know, it just I don't know what it is. And the Quartermass stuff is yeah, it's
I love
weird.
yeah, I really love the Quatermass stuff. I like, yeah, Neil does it for me, but I also do like people who take his stuff and run with it.
Yeah, and I think what his kind of unlike Lovecraft, where I think he does his stuff mostly better than other people do.
Mm.
I think that you know, for me, the Nigel, you know, you think of something like Prince of Darkness, and
Yeah,
you go, okay, that's someone ripping off a kind of Nigel Neal type
yeah,
story. It
sure,
works. It's creepy. I love it. You know, but yeah, I
sure.
don't know what it is. I don't know what it is.
Well, it's also, I mean, Nigel Neal's stuff also was almost all made of a certain time in a certain way. I mean, the Quatermass stuff was weird because Quatermass, the series, has a real stiffness to it, but I really love it. And the movies have Brian Donlevy in it, who is a very weird voice for Quatermass, and a lot of controversy there with him. Have you seen the 20 million miles terror? Wait, what's that one called? Shit, the fourth Quatermass, with the Martian bugs.
Yeah, I've seen it. It's the one I enjoy the most,
I
but
really like that one a lot. Yeah,
it's weird. I think I have this weird prejudice that I somehow felt that I liked Doctor Who more, and I never realized till I started watching some people review whole seasons of Doctor Who because I really can't rewatch it.
right.
And I'm talking about classic Who.
Sure.
Don't get me started about New Who. And
Who
New Who.
you do?
Oh,
Remind me of a who.
and oh, don't get me started about Dr. Seuss. And that how a lot a lot of Doctor Who stories fall into the camp of these are our Nigel Neal
Yeah,
stories,
yeah.
and I
He was asked.
like them.
He was
You know,
asked to write for it too. Yeah.
yeah, and I like a lot of those ones. You
He's
know,
got I've got his book that was re-released last year or so. I still haven't read it because I've listened to a couple of stories read. I really like, I mean, there are things I like about him that have background. I like the way I like his characters.
mm,
I like the way they talk to each other. I like the way he brings in the community, the class differences. I mean, this is all condiments to what I like, but I like his the social politics and things like that. There's just, yeah, I don't know what it is. I just really dig Nigel Neal, and Beast. I really enjoy Beast. It's a very bizarre series. It's got the one with because also he swerves a lot. Even if I don't like the episode, he tries for something that is not exactly what you're expecting. Like a haunted aquarium with dolphin, or the
oh yeah. I mean, it really is. It is
Patrick
not.
McNee werewolf one is I really enjoyed. It's nuts.
It's not. It's a weird thing.
Sure. I mean, some,
Yeah.
some it's
I
like a
can't.
musician. There's
Yeah.
something about the tone is not working for you, or the voice or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I also enjoy. If you told me, look, you can watch Prince of Darkness or you can watch Quatermass, I'm like,
Right. Okay.
I'm watching Prince of Darkness because it moves differently and I get a different thrill out of it. And you know, it's funny to see Halloween 3 and see that like
Well,
there's so much of
well,
him in it.
you know, we talk a lot about movies that were originally, panned that have become classics, and we were
Yeah,
talking about things of a certain time. I'm not quite sure. Like, I can understand not liking The Thing because I think someone like, and I think it's Roger Ebert's review, or maybe it's, I don't know.
everybody was so disgusted by it.
They were,
Really weird.
I feel like people were reacting to 80s horror, which they felt were going too hard.
Yeah.
And then they took this classic that all these film jerks had watched a million times
Well,
growing up
I really
and
that's
remade
interesting.
it.
I never thought of that about how many people you know who love Howard Christian Ivy's. I love both.
Hmm.
I love both for different
Yeah.
reasons. I think that
Not
the
not a
thing
huge fan of the first one, but
love
that's
the. I think the thing from another world is a really good example of a film that keeps moving along with the so-called boring stuff. I love the interplay with those characters. Um, um, I love how they all come together at the end. I mean, effects wise and everything, it does some interesting things. I find it really I really like the way the characters work together and talk.
yeah.
But I love the Howard Hawks elements of it. That keep it going. And I love the Thing stuff. I love the scene where they're standing around it. I love the scene. The fire scene is amazing.
Right. It's a
The
different
ice
movie.
block is terrific, and
Yeah.
the banter is great. And
Yeah.
it's got some of the best, scientists. I love the fact that there's a group of scientists, not just one, and that
Right.
the allegiances change, and they're trying to stick with him. I really love it. It's funny because this year I watched the Thing, which I can't believe they called it The Thing.
Oh, what, the prequel?
How do you call the prequel of a movie the same title as the movie? Did you
Because
see The
the only
Thing?
reason they made it is because it's an IP they thought they could cash in on.
Right, but you go The Thing, the day before, something and something, the first thing. Here comes the thing.
First things first.
First things first would be fucking hilarious.
Oh, definitely a line on the poster.
What went there? Or doing was ist dies? I don't know how.
Yeah.
Calling all dogs. Get your dogs out.
Look, the thing for me is I saw The Thing as a kid. I loved it.
I loved it.
Years later, I read the novella. It blew me away.
I love that. Have you read the extended version?
I tried to. It came at a time where I wasn't reading a lot,
Yeah.
just like now, and I came to the conclusion that there was probably a reason that I prefer the shorter one. That
Sure.
it's just
It's funny the first time that I encountered the real Thing story was in a comic book adaptation.
Who goes
camp. And I can't remember this comic. It was not Marvel. It was not DC. It was a weird line that was adapting science fiction stories.
Okay.
And so this was the first time. I'm like 10, 11. It wasn't my comic. I don't know who the hell's comic it was. And because the basic concept of the Thing is terrifying to me and to a lot of people, obviously, because effects aside, Carrot Man aside, killing people, burning shit, the idea that I still am not quite sure how it works when you're taken over. Do you have, are you it, or are you working with it? Or you know what I mean? Are you faking everything you do?
Right. I always feel like what I've gotten to it is
the comic. The idea that the creature was also, they drew the creature like it was in the book.
And what is this, from the 70s or was it from the 60s, Evan? Do you know?
I wish I could remember, because it's a comic I've always wanted to revisit. And a few years ago I found it. No, it's not Dark Horse. This is in the 70s. I was a child. It was an off-brand comic, and it was available. They did adaptations of science fiction authors, and they did Who Goes There in a comic, and it was really cheap look, Charlton type looking paper, if I remember, garish colors, and it scared the shit out of me, and I read it over and over and over again. I just was fascinated by it. But the idea that this thing comes and assimilates you and becomes you, and that it's going to take over the world in this many days if it Holy shit! What a concept. Just doppelgangers are scary. Invasion of the Body. It's a reason why Invasion of the Body Snatchers absolutely terrified me as a kid. Especially because it doesn't end on the happiest of notes.
Is
But
the,
yeah,
is this happen to be the one?
what is this? The horrors of it all. Who goes there? It could. Oh, I'd have to see more of it, but this could be it. I mean, it looks right. I think it is because I'm seeing the creature. What is this? Is this Charlton or is this?
I'm not sure. Unfortunately, a lot of this is behind.
Yeah, I'm not. I don't.
I'll do some
But
research.
then again, how many people adapted Who Goes There? From the story, not as a comic, not as the. I wanted to write a Thing series. Sarah and I were trying to come up with. We had an idea for a Thing series that we really liked
Really?
back in the '90s. Yeah, I mean, it's not the super most. That's it. That's it. I
We
recognize the
got it.
cover.
Yes, thank you. We just got
Thank you. Whoever found. Holy shit! I gotta find
Well,
this
yeah.
thing.
I think it was yeah. We got it. So yeah.
Oh my god! It's Whitman. What a weird thing. It looks like it's Whitman.
Wow.
Adventures in Science Fiction. Chad Oliver. I never. Yeah, this is. I'm gonna have to look up Starstream.
Starstream Adventures in Science Fiction.
What year is that? Do you have it?
Uh,
Wow. I mean,
1976. Does
that's
that
that's. I was
perfect?
11. I was 11 in camp, Loyaltown, Luema, probably Luema. Yeah, it would have been Luema. Somebody had that comic. All my friends read comics when I was a kid,
Yeah.
pretty much.
Yeah. I'm gonna.
Clifford, Michael, Scott, they all read comics.
I'm gonna.
Wow,
I'll email you the link right now. So
cool, thanks. Yeah, I mean, it's not going to be great or anything like that, but I'm really glad to have rediscovered that. Thank you. Wow, that's cool. Starstream, that's it. What is? No, I don't know. I don't know things. It's something I know nothing about. Just the terrible movie Things. What if somebody did? Oh, forget it. No, I don't even want to get it. I don't want to get into Things again. That hurt. That
yeah, that was
movie.
terrible. Well, do you have any like outstanding of the year?
Yeah, I'm trying. I did write down. I saw. I mean, I did see films from the last few years. I enjoyed the Kingdom series from South Korea quite
Okay,
a
yeah,
bit.
I kept on thinking about watching it. I never got to it.
I really enjoyed it. I did not like the. I think they're doing another season. I did not like the movie very much. I thought it was flat. It's about a side character. It just. I mean, it's beautiful. It's always a nice looking show. Um, I think I talked about Demon, the Polish film Demon, which
I went to try that once. I couldn't get into it. I will. It's still on a list.
I can see. I mean, to stereotype, not you, but people sometimes there's a foreign movie and it's got a certain
Yeah, certain
feel. I mean,
feel.
or an independent art film, and you're just not ready for it. I love Japanese food. Doesn't mean that I'm going to buy it every day. That I thought Demon was really good. Um, it's certainly it's a weird movie, but I really like the filmmaking. I like the camera work because they do a lot of long takes, um, following people around while other things are always happening. It's funny in places. It's a very sad movie though, the subject is depressing.
Mm.
Um, Somewhere I wrote, Exterminating Angel, which was on your Plex. I loved it. Um, do I understand all of it? No.
Well, I don't think you're supposed to.
And at the same
Oh,
time, it's the politics of the time. I can't.
is it
It's
the
hard.
politics of dancing?
The politics of feeling bad,
Feeling good.
feeling really bad, absolutely feeling bad. Stupid hand.
but
Uh,
the thing is, I'm going to say this:
yeah.
if we ever get into a discussion slash argument again about the remake of Suspiria, I will introduce into evidence the object of my desire
I
as
have
a
not seen that.
counterpoint. And that's all. I'm leaving it there. We might never argue about it again, Evan.
Maybe not, unless they remake it again.
There's
Let's see.
a German film called The Masks, which is a German kind of quasi remake of Suspiria,
Really?
where it's an acting school with crazy acting stuff. I haven't gotten a copy of it yet.
Oh well, when you do,
Yeah.
what the? Let's see. I saw. Here's things I liked.
Oh,
I-
oh yeah. I've
Behind
I've
the Mask: The Rise of Leslie Vernon. That's one of those films that I have it's a category for me that I'm sort of interested, but I kind of don't like serial killer stuff.
but the thing is, I've seen it. I think what it tries to do is an interesting idea, but I don't think it's executed all that well for me. I know it's beloved. I'm sorry.
It's funny. Scott recommended the movie. I don't remember the name of it, where it was somebody who was not sure, who has to call a friend who's a big serial killer fan to try to figure out some things that are going out, and it's possible he's this killer, and
Okay.
it's another, you know,
Well, do you know that
breakdown.
the story behind that is the idea is that a film crew
Yeah.
or are following.
They do a man bites dog thing with him, right?
Right, but he's a serial killer that exists in the universe where Michael Myers and all these people exist.
I didn't know that.
And the meta thing is how some of the things that happen in the tropey things that happen are
Right.
designed because this is what these guys do. I don't know, but
Yeah, it's just so one of the weirdest films I saw this year was The Boxer's Omen.
right. I haven't seen that in years.
Okay, yeah, I figured you saw it. That's a Hong Kong film that's just one of those.
It's a Shaw Brothers.
It's a Shaw Brothers, but it's not the typical Shaw Brothers, but it's not the typical, Taoist monk fight film, or it's just nuts. If it's absolutely
Infamous. It's an infamous film.
can't believe I'm watching that this is happening right now, and it's got kung fu, and it's got magic, and it's got demons, and it's got crazy shit. If you like crazy shit, I definitely recommend The Boxer's Omen. It ticks off a lot of genre. Some of the pictures that they have for
Oh, look at
I don't
Philip Cole's gonna shoot
Sammo Hung
in the face.
Why is
Don't
it
shoot
a
him,
shot?
please.
Why are
Philip
they
Coast.
putting a picture of Sammo Hung about to get shot by Philip Coe there? That's not fair. Do you know what I really find creepy? When people put a picture of someone murdered in a movie, and that's
that's their headshot.
And if they end up doing better movies, right? You're like, oh, it's The Age of Innocence with, look, the dead girl who was spiked twice in the shower here, and there's the pole coming through her head. That is so rude. That is so fucking rude, Oh my God. I saw a film called Radius, which I didn't love, but it was such a throwback kind of thing.
What's it about? I haven't heard of this, I don't think.
Guy wakes up. It's Canadian film. It's small.
Oh, never mind then.
I know, right?
No,
I know.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
The guy wakes up, and he as he approaches people, they drop dead. And it's one of those concept films where you're like, kind of reminding me a little bit of the. I think there's one or two films where, Rutger Hauer and Joan Shen or whoever, or
Wedlock,
or Deadlock, I think it was called also.
Right, it has a lot of stupid names where if you get they have these explosives around their neck, and if
one person escapes the prison, it's a futuristic movie. If one person escapes the prison, the neck devices will explode them and the person they're
right. They have to be within a certain distance of each other.
And that's what this is. Two characters end up having to be within a certain radius of one another.
Which is what I can't think of the classic film with Sidney Poitier, right? And
well, that's the one they handcuffed, right?
Yeah,
Defiant ones.
Yes,
which I haven't seen.
I saw that as a kid.
It is like that, but these two people have to be like something like within 50 feet of one another. It has a secondary track. It has a track supporting that track. That's not the whole thing.
Okay.
There are mysteries because he doesn't know who he is.
Oh, okay.
I didn't love. They do explain why this thing happened. I don't love that
And
because
I'm sorry. What's this called again?
Radius.
Radius. Okay.
I think that it overloads uh, the amount of magic events. If you know what I'm saying, it's like, well, we've got Bigfoot. Oh, and look, this guy does magic, and then there's an atomic war. I think I felt it went for too much, but
Okay.
and the acting is a little sometimes iffy on the main guy, but I found myself enjoying it almost like it was an 80s film. It's not a big bloody crazy mess. Yeah,
Ooh, birds are dying.
anything does. I mean, if you can get past the later explanation, and if you're, my problem was I just felt like there's too high concepts here.
Yeah.
It's the modern thing of you're throwing in a lot to because it's hard to write a movie that's original or this, that, or the other thing without going into a million swerves. And swerves are so big right now. People want three endings. They want four twist endings. They want to be fooled,
It's
even
that
if it
shit in
doesn't,
the mystery box.
yeah,
That
even if it
shit in the
doesn't make
mystery box.
sense. They really love that. You know, I mean, it ends. There is an ending, and I mean, but I do feel like there's too much going on. But I thought it was interesting. I thought it was surprising, enjoyable in some ways. Uh, we talked about Yellow Dragon's Village, a very weird Japanese
Yes.
genre film that hits the brakes and then starts as a different movie later on, and it becomes. It's not one cut of the dead, but it's got that kind of feel of what the fuck is happening. I'm enjoying this, but where
Yeah.
is this going?
It feels. It's sometimes. Well, it is always a low budget Japanese film.
Yeah,
It is. It sometimes feels like you're. It's going to be a stupid cult movie. It sometimes feels like it's going to be a superhero movie. It
cannibals
sometimes
and shit. Yeah, yeah,
it
yeah.
sometimes feels like it's they're superheroes or something. You know,
You remember the
there's
you
a lot
remember
going
this
on.
the scene in Dead Alive where the priest kicks ass for the Lord, right?
Right.
And it's just this thrown. All of a sudden, we've got a kick flick going,
Right.
and for everybody who was hoping he lived for a while because it seemed like a waste of a funny character. It if Dead Alive turned into a kung fu movie at the 20-minute mark or the 40-minute mark, that's kind of like what happens with this one. It doesn't announce its end game. It's not the kind of movie where you're going, hey, don't blow it, spoilers. It was a movie that I enjoyed, then I wasn't enjoying it, and then I was laughing and enjoying it. A likable mess.
Okay.
Uh, let's see. So here's what I saw in 2023. That Necromonicon, that piece of shit, where everybody couldn't even pronounce the name of the movie.
Which right.
Zom 100 Bucket List of the Dead, which,
What the fuck are you watching, Evan? What are you doing?
excuse me, Paul,
Oh, yes, Evan.
I watched this one for the kids.
Not for the kicks.
No, actually, it's a Japanese live action of a very popular anime, which I did not know at the time, of a manga. So it's a huge manga and a huge anime. Uh, People like the anime more than the movie. The movie is fun,
Oh, really?
stupid.
Okay.
Yes, it is. But what happens with this movie is that I did not know that this was the. I had seen the opening credits because it's really well animated of Zom 100 bucket. It's about a. It's the main concept, the high concept here, because like a lot of manga, you get a high concept and then issue 6 you get more high concept because the edit everybody it's popular. Wait, now we're gonna have a psychic woman show up, and oh wait, the wolves can talk, and everything's crazy. And the way to keep a manga going. What's weird about this movie is you can tell it's a manga, even if you didn't know it was a manga.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. It feels like chapters. It
Okay.
feels like it's going through the first 3 arcs of a manga. The characters are very likable. Some of the comedy is very stupid because it's shown in Jump stupid. Everybody wants to. All the boys like want to see breasts, that type of thing. Although I don't think you do. Um, but the anime, the opening is really really cool. But it's about a boy who the zombie apocalypse happens, and he decides he's got a bucket list of things to do before he gets killed. And it's a comedy, really. And then by the end, you realize you are on the third story arc of the manga because stuff gets crazier and crazier, and meeting a character is an entire arc, and then there, you know what I mean? It feels like a manga. It's not the worst thing ever. It's ludicrous at times. Um, yeah, it's you know, it's a comedy horror zombie thing with it's amiable, but it's choppy, and shit comes out of nowhere at the end. Characters, if you know going in that it's based on a manga, then you'll go, oh, okay, this is why the characters are kind of ridiculous, because there's some things in there like why doesn't he just shoot this guy? Because it's a manga and we got to keep characters around. And I saw something called Remember, which I forgot all about, and I think I forgot about it again. And I looked up the fucking.
It's okay. It's probably going to be okay.
It's re/member. It's a Japanese film. I kind of liked it if I remember, but I don't know.
Okay, that's fair enough.
I watched some stuff from last year. I can't think of anything. I watched, it was an interesting watch, but I ended up not liking it at the end because, again, this was a film I thought that packed on too much. That movie Thesis.
I really like Thesis. I've been meaning to rewatch it. I only watched it once.
Yeah,
I like it a lot. I mean,
I was with it for a long time, but the ending just felt like the twists were ridiculous, and the mystery was botched for me in many places.
Okay.
And there's for a movie that's got a lot of logic, that leans on a lot of logic, it has a lot of illogic.
Okay.
And
I would want to rewatch it before we got into a heated argument.
But it was I was really into it for the first hour. It's a long film. It's like 2 hours.
Yeah.
Also, the main character has a Tintin and a Captain Haddock bust in her room, and I want them really badly.
Well, you can't have them.
I know.
Should we talk about Fatal Frames before, since it's getting late? We should talk. I have the video clip.
Are people around? Do we have questions?
Oh yes, we have. Well, we don't have a lot of questions right now, but there's a lot of people watching for us.
Because I would be happy to hear what people saw in 2023. That's either
So why don't we?
What were the knockouts that they saw? I did a lot of rewatching. Oh, Poor Things I did hear about, and I was kind of like, and then I saw some clips from it.
I really want to see it. I really want to see it. Yeah, but
I mean, Frankenstein theme. I love that. It looks. In fact, doesn't it look like a kind of City of Lost Children kind of film?
Yeah, it has that kind of
vision.
Hyper things. So, people, if you want to write some things, we'll talk about Fatal Frames, and we'll come back and we'll see what movies you liked and saw.
I did do a lot of rewatching of 70s and 80s films, and almost all of them worked for me. It's too long a list, but and I got into the Zatoichi films.
Right.
You got me into. I really enjoyed those, and then that made me that probably got me to go rewatch Onibaba, and then I watched Jigoku, which I did not love. That was a film that's been built up over the years. That's the first gore film, and it's kind of ludicrous, unfortunately. And I watched Ugetsu, which I thought was terrific. I just like those black and white dreamy ghost movies. But Onibaba is amazing looking. So Fatal Frames is a piece of shit. The only thing I want to say real quick before you get into it, because I think this is your wheelhouse. No, we're going to Giallo Town.
All right.
We're going to Flavor Town with Giallo.
Okay.
Fatal Frames is funny because I had watched a film called Fabula, I think. I think I wrote it down. Let's see. Nope, I didn't. You're a dick. I thought Fabula. It's from 2020, and it's an Italian movie, and it's the first vanity giallo that I ever saw, because I'm watching it and I'm going, this. I'm getting the feeling that the guy who wrote and whoever directed this is this guy, is the actor. I'm getting the idea that this is a vehicle. This is a vanity,
Ego
low budget,
exploitation.
and we love vanity films. I mean, whether it's that crazy lady from the Frozen, who's that woman?
Oh yeah,
You know who I'm talking about?
yes,
The guy
I
who
know.
made Crash, not Crash. The guy who made Gone in 60 Seconds, I think. The stuntman who made films about
Oh
him.
right, those that's right.
Uh, vanity films where somebody is producing, writing it for, the Pia Zadora films. Her husband was doing that for her, where you put in a questionably talented person who's also in control of the production, the story, the directions, etc. Um, they are usually amazing train wrecks. Like
Right,
The
right,
Room. The Room is the perfect example.
right,
It's still
exactly.
tough to watch. So anyway, Fatal Frames. I'm watching it. It's not only a fabula. It's too long. It's too stupid, and it's cheap. So it's really interesting to see a let's go make a movie, but it's a giallo because you just don't see a ton of those really.
Right,
It's
right.
interesting. There's a lot of slash, but it's an actual giallo. It's got a crazy murderer is on the loose, killing people for reasons you don't know, with black gloves and this that. There's storybook and children's fables mixed into it. It stinks.
So to give a little context,
But this is the second one.
I want to I want to call out. There's a YouTube channel called Movie Timelines, and they did a video which is 10 more insane horror movies, and that's where I found out about Fatal Frames. It's also the same channel I found out from Up from the Depths, so it's a really good channel. The guy does what we did when we watched Friday the 13th movies in a
Yeah.
row in the 90s and try to talk about how it didn't, whether it makes sense or not. But
I like,
anyway,
I like that you told me that we got a letter from somebody, or somebody said something about our podcast.
there was a reviews, or someone was talking about the podcast, and it said that we were ballsy in the sense that
I like
we
that.
didn't start liking the Friday the 13th movies till the third and fourth one. Yeah,
Well, we even said when we put. I mean, I was drawing it after going through most of those movies and watching the Camp Crystal Lake thing. I love the Camp Crystal Lake
oh,
memories.
what a
It was a
great
lot of fun.
documentary.
And it was like we really we don't like this. We hate. We don't like Friday the 13th. Although we found things to like, and that was one of my favorite episodes that we did. I mean, it's because Friday the 13th is just so quietly bonkers, if you know what I mean. It's a
Right.
guy with a fucking knife or a butcher, and it's but the turns that saga takes is
Right.
bizarre. But yeah, so
So with Fatal Frames, basically what you have is you have a vanity project giallo with a husband and wife. If I'm getting this right, she's a singer. He makes music videos.
if you
All
say
right.
so.
All right. Uh,
Yeah, it is a
it
husband
is
and wife.
right.
And again, I did not watching this, I did not know it was a vanity project, but it's very easy to figure out.
Right. And to describe it, you basically have our protagonist is a video director
Who's it?
who's what
Yes. Sorry.
whose wife was recently murdered by a guy who was killing women in a certain way in the States, and he has now been hired to direct this the wife's singer. I don't know if she's famous or not, a music video.
I think the idea is she's a big deal famous. It's a vanity. They're not going
Right.
to make it. I'm just starting. It's not famous.
No, yeah, she is.
She's she's
Yeah,
a huge deal because she's on TV and stuff.
right. And so he goes over there, and it has that classic giallo because it's an American actor who's going to. I think he's an American actor.
He goes from New York to Italy, which is the perfect giallo
Right.
opening.
And now there's murders happening, and there's a suspicion that he's involved. Did he kill his wife? And now
So I
he's
think you
killing
find
people
out.
there.
You don't find out that his wife was killed for like a little while. That
I-
first there's a murder. There's a murder in New York. I forget. It's a dumb movie. It's hard to remember. But
Yeah, it basically
when he comes, the murders begin again.
right.
They
So,
dodge.
so is this a copycat? What's going on? And what you get is just the worst decisions after the worst decisions, and really 90s ponytails and
Horrible
everything.
contrivances, horrible
And
dialogue.
and And the thing that really takes it over the top is this is the last film
Who's in the
of
movie, Paul? I wanted to ask you, who's in this cast?
Donald Pleasance is in
So we
this.
get Donald Pleasance, Linnea Quigley,
Linnea Quigley, right?
the tall man, Angus Scrimm.
Angus Scrimm plays Ghost for 3 seconds. That makes no
That
fucking
scene makes
sense.
no sense.
No
That scene
sense.
makes no fucking. You can't put that puzzle piece in. That puzzle piece does not fit in this fucking movie. It's amazing. I think there's somebody else famous, an Italian actor. It's his last film too, I think.
Yeah. There's a couple. There's a
He's in a
couple of
lot of
times.
giallos.
Right, and
So
so
it's a horror movie Fangoria fans dreamcast.
right, and it follows all the bullshit things with Giallo. The first funny thing is if you're a woman and you're wearing white, you're gonna get murdered because they're all wearing white, so the blood shows up. It's fucking insane that this is a choice that they make.
And the murderer looks so cut rate. It's such a cut rate face,
It's
man.
a very weird. Let me see if I could get an image of this. Um,
It's
but yeah, it's an amazing thing. So yeah, you have these killings are going on. Donald Pleasance will show up as an FBI guy from America who's
except
a profiler.
some Donald Pleasance is sick around this time, and I guess he did Halloween 6 or whatever, the one where they had the film
Yeah,
around him. This one had the film around him too. Angus Scrimm, Linnea Quigley, and Donald Pleasance basically do cameos.
Right, Leanna
She has
Quigley's,
a role, but she disappears for most of the movie.
It makes no sense. She shows up on a balcony and then she's
She walks into a bar, says hi, and leaves. I mean, the movie is funny, but the movie is very funny because it's so badly made and it's long, and the story is super. It's got everything that's wrong with Giallo, but none of the good stuff. There's no memorable kills. There's no style. And you have to suffer through all these videos of this supposedly talented woman whose husband is the director of this film, and he loves her. So I mean, that's nice, right? But you have to watch her a lot for the first half hour, first 40 minutes, 45 minutes. But Donald Pleasance is in. Oh, there's a British guy who. Well, there are two men in this movie who are dying. There's a British guy who's walking with a cane, and Donald Pleasance is like on a cane. It's really sad, actually, because watching them get up or sit down is fucking painful. Because the British guy who shows up, who's the theatrical producer, out of nowhere, the big guy, the overweight British guy, he's dying. He dies after this movie too. Like 3 people die. The cop, who's a famous Italian director, I believe it's his last movie. Donald Pleasance's last movie, and British guy we don't really care about, who dies. I mean, there's people dying in this film for real. It's like a slasher.
Yeah.
But Donald Pleasance dies, and he didn't loop his own work. So,
all right. So basically, again, to get the reason I watched this.
Do you have a video of the woman?
I have pictures. I don't have a video.
You might want to show her because she is important, even though she's the worst thing in the movie.
Yeah, she's.
So here's the deal: you're supposed to believe that this person is young and the top of the MTV world, and she has one song that they keep playing over and over. Yeah. She has a sex scene too later on with the guy, and they're both the most plastic people you ever. First of all, the guy, the main character, he stinks. He is terrible. Apparently, he's in some other horror movie. I don't, but he's buff and body. It's just he stinks. He stinks.
Yeah, he's very bad.
The acting in this movie is awful.
Well, like a couple of other things that don't make sense is you would think if this was a vanity project and you wanted to show off your wife's singing talents to do something with her career, that the director would be directing multiple songs.
Yeah.
But no, it's one ridiculous song in stupid locations.
Yeah.
That's going on.
They keep making different. It seems like they're making the same video over and over and
over and over and over again.
I guess it makes sense in that you do have to shoot a video. If you're going to have different locations, you have to do this run through the song. But it's terrible for a movie.
Right, but the problem is this is happening over like like a week or two, and people are getting murdered, and
Well, yeah, it's like
not they didn't
eyeball.
do it.
They just keep going.
They didn't do it for realism. It's like, and this song that she's saying stinks. This is no
It's
one's gonna want to see it.
it's
So
really bad. And
the thing,
you have to hear this song like 4 or 5
over and
times
over
because
again.
it's fucking awful. The videos are embarrassing
Yeah,
as hell.
those are excuses to do some extravagant, jerky giallo
It's
stuff,
cheap.
maybe.
Her
Yeah,
video looks like hell too.
yeah, they have no money to pay anybody.
They're,
So the big thing that we're leading
but it
up
is great
to,
that they all keep going to work, even though the people who are getting
people are
killed are,
dying.
of course.
Oh, it's like eyeball when you're taking a
That's what I was saying.
vacation.
I love Eyeball. Was that everybody
Eyeball's
get
the
on the
best.
bus?
But people
Everywhere
just
they
die.
stop in Eyeball, somebody dies, and then they just get on the bus. It's like,
Yeah.
this is great.
Highly recommend the eyeball.
Eyeball's hilarious.
So the thing that we're getting to is a video again that I saw this on Movie Timeline channel, and that's why I wanted to track down this movie. Unfortunately, Donald Pleasance was unable to finish his shoot. So they decided, to film something. So the story made sense. I have a video file. I've never done this before. I hope this plays with sound. If not, we'll explain. But
hello?
Yes.
That you, Bonelli?
Professor Robinson.
I'm calling to say goodbye. Now that your people have so brilliantly solved the case of the Italian video killer, I still have to solve mine in the States.
When are you leaving?
I'm on my way. I'm calling from the airport commissioner. I must be home for Halloween. Looks like an old case has been reopened.
there goes Lucio Fulci as the double for. Oh, and a poster if you're so stupid.
Why? That's the cop who I believe dies. He overacts beautifully throughout this entire movie. He screams at everybody. He's like fucking Rudy Giuliani or something. That scene broke me. That scene broke me. First, the angel face of him is, I expected the words Donald Pleasance and his birth and death dates to show up with little flowers underneath there. And then they have an actor sitting in for him. And then they link it to Halloween. And if you don't get it, we're going to play the Halloween theme.
And if you don't get that, we're going to
put a Halloween poster from a movie that was out 20 years ago in an airport. And also, if you think that his voice sounded weird, that's because somebody's dubbing his voice for the entire fucking movie.
He unfortunately died before he could do his.
And the person tries to do a Donald Pleasance impression, so it's doubly bad. If you heard that, play that clip again.
Let's hear that too. You want to back that shit up, Evan?
Yeah, play that fast thing one more time. Please listen to the voice.
Hello?
That you, Bonelli?
Professor Robinson.
I'm calling to say goodbye. Now that your people have so brilliantly solved the case of the Italian video killer, I still have to solve mine in the States.
When are you leaving?
I'm on my way. I'm calling from the airport commissioner. I must be home for Halloween. Looks like an old case has been reopened.
Why did they get cut off? Did Michael Myers cut the phone line in America? Yeah. This is beyond the pale.
There you go.
Beyond the fucking pale.
Yeah, excellent. Excellent.
And there's more to that movie to love.
Right. And then the movie,
I cannot fucking believe that they had a Shemp, Donald Pleasance, and some guy. I have to be home for Halloween. My old face.
Yeah, I don't understand.
He's not Dr. Loomis. He's not Dr. Loomis, though. So what the fuck is it? Fucking Italy, man.
It's a crazy film. The conclusion is outrageously fucking stupid. Kind of wonderful.
And Angus Scrimm's cameo is one of the best ever because he literally does the tall man. Because the guy who made this is an idiot. And I'm amazed he didn't have Linnea Quigley get naked and be eaten by old men in one scene. I have to go. officer,
Fun,
because I have to get naked and be eaten by old men. Goodbye.
fun, Leanna, I can't say her name, Quigley fact is that she appears in a body double in both Graduation Day and Fatal Games. So
Yes,
she's in both movies nude as someone else.
that's right. Because in Final Exam, which wait,
Final Games.
wait, is it Graduation Day? Right, is one of them, or what?
Yes, Graduation Day is one of
Graduation
them.
Day, they lose an actress because she doesn't want to do a
Okay.
nude scene. So there's a blonde who appears in the movie, and then they had to double her uh, death or something later on. And yeah, no, I did not know that she's in two terrible films that have javelin murderers.
Yeah.
Although Graduation Day goes crazy, it has things other than javelin murders. Man, they both stink though.
Yeah, that's a pretty weak.
But the javelin one, I watched it just recently, and I don't remember anything except the javelin. Like I don't know who the killer was. I don't remember anything. I can't remember a scene from that movie. I can remember a couple of scenes from Graduation Day because it's got some known, Christopher George is running around. Whenever Christopher George shows up in a movie, I assume he's going to take a plane to Italy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Always
Yeah.
think he's going to Italy after the first scene,
Or getting drunk, allegedly.
or eating maggots.
Allegedly.
Just
Oh,
look-
I was watching somebody do a video on the Fulci trilogy of
Yeah.
Night of the Living Dead, blah blah blah, and they talked about. I think it was in Night of the Living Dead where they're like, oh, he got millions of maggots and industrial fans and just blew it on the actors.
You can tell.
And as a joke, they would put maggots in his
Oh,
pipe.
That's right. They say that he charged that Christopher George put maggots in his pipe to get back at him. And do you blame him? I mean,
No, not at all.
a movie that I don't think we talked about. I think I just talked to you about it. Blood on Melier's Moon.
Yes, I have not watched yet, but it is in my watch.
Okay, so since we talked about terrible giallo, this is a fascinating film that's terrible. And why can't I remember who made it? It's because it's important. I didn't write it down. The director is
I will look it up slowly.
he made a bunch of terrible movies. It's an Italian movie from 2016, and it's called Blood on Melier's Moon, and that is refers to George Méliès, the French filmmaker who made the movie The Trip to the Moon with the moon that cries and has a rocket in its eye. This is a really, really fucked up, deranged, weird film, but it is also a heartfelt, kind of stupidly likable, weird movie. Paul and I always have a joke that whenever somebody writes in a review for fans of the genre only, we want to punch them in the face. It's the most obnoxious term on earth. Where are you? Oh, this is for fans of the genre only. Whatever. Oh, right. Luigi Cozzi, who made Star Crash. Come on, you've seen Star Crash, please. But no, can't hear you. Can't hear you. If folks can hear me. Yep. Right. Luigi Cozzi, who made I can't remember his other bad films, but he made Star Crash, and
That's not a bad film.
Compared
Star
to some,
Crash.
did he make the Black Cat? I don't know. I don't the Black Cat with Carol Monroe.
I'll look it up.
Look up what he made, or folks, if you know.
Will do it.
So this movie, I have not read about it or heard about it. It's again Blood on Melier's Moon. I think it popped up on Tubi, and it's like a lot of Italian giallos, which this sort of counts. It has a high concept that's really interesting, where people are looking for. And there's Luigi. Hi, Luigi. Is he still with us?
I think so.
Good. This is the movie, in fact.
Mm.
These are clips from the movie, and it has that cheap quality that Fatal Frames has. You can also see that it's all over the place. It's a giallo. It's got Suspiria type stuff. It literally exists in the real world. What he's doing right now, it turns out Luigi Cozzi works in the Profondo Rosso store in Italy, which sells horror stuff, books, and in the basement there is a Dario Argento museum, which has a lot of props, and they're all in these prison cells. And it turns out that's what he's that's what he's he says it better than I did, but and it's about him he's running the store, and he made this movie. It's partly autobiographical, it's partly about about these films, his relationship with Dario Argento and films, and it's not a good film at all. It's got a lot of the problems that cheap films have now, where you saw these video graphics that look like they're from an industrial film being made, or your McDonald's training films, and there's very very video effects that look like they're from Star Trek: The Next Generation or fan. But the movie is so bizarre. But I ended up liking Luigi Cozzi so much because this movie is basically following this old man who made movies that he acknowledges people don't like. At one point, one of the best scenes in the movie is somebody reviews him and calls him the Ed Wood of Italian cinema or something. And his wife plays his wife, kids play kids, friends play friends. And so if nothing else, it's a movie that is for fans of the genre only, because you'll get to see the inside of the Profondo Rosso, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, shop, the Dario Argento shop. You get to see his friends and family and other directors whose houses he goes to talk about the plot of the movie. I'm forgetting the fucking plot of the movie, but I think it's about lost film or a filmmaker that invented film before Méliès and he disappeared. And that's the ancient tome in this thing. That's the book. It goes off in so many more directions, though. So there's a hilarious scene where he's upset because he feels he's made bad films and everybody doesn't like his films. But a reviewer called him the Ed Wood of Hollywood, and he realizes, but Ed Wood is famous and people love Ed Wood, and they made a movie about him. And he's telling his wife about how that's okay, and he won't let her sleep. Which is a running gag throughout this thing. He keeps dragging his poor wife into this fucking horror movie. But it's like the immediacy of the scenes where he's using his house, his store that he runs, his friends. He goes to Lamberto Bava's house and they talk about his dad, and Lamberto Bava shows him his father's book collection because they're looking for a lost book that he had. They show Dario Argento in probably old footage doing a signing. And they show the shop and the downstairs, and he is just not what I expected an Italian director of terrible horror movies to look like or act like. He's a jovial, cuddly, goofy air of a man. And I ended up I wanted to meet him and just go to a convention. I just really enjoyed your terrible fucking George Méliès movie. It's an awful movie. There are times where there are scenes where he just blatantly rips off other movies by using the other thing that I loved about it is that he's such a fucking fan. He is so excited by monster movies and horror movies, and that's related in some of his trippy sequences where literally things from the movies that he likes appears in space while he's flying around in space in a rocket. Movie makes no fucking sense as a horror movie, as a science fiction movie, as a self-reflexive, was it 8.5 or so? I don't know, day for night. But I really recommend this film as a trip, as a weird insight into this guy's life. I mean, they're always eating, which is nice. They're cooking for each other, but they literally film these things in other film directors and producers' houses. And oh no, he made that. Oh, Paganini horror is that's right. I think he talks about it in the movie. In fact,
it's delicious.
Oh, Paganini horror is so bad, and that's another. Donald Pleasance has to sit down.
I just want to bring up before I forget that
I'll drop it because it's a hard movie to recommend and describe.
Stevie's been doing a great job behind the scenes, but one of the comments that she actually wrote, I think I just want to talk about, which is
Wow.
Wow, Stevie.
Wow. I have not thought of Asian trash cinema in a long time. And yeah,
For
yeah.
fans of the
Thanks,
genre
thanks, Asian
only.
trash cinema. I see what you're into, Asian trash. Oh boy, that magazine was
Oh,
annoying. Remember, yeah, I forgot all about. I'm thinking now about a bunch of those zines where they'd go for about 3 issues, and it was basically just a guy trying to get a Japanese wife or a Chinese wife.
we are getting near the 3 hour mark, so you want to take
Wow.
these questions of people and
Yeah,
see
let's let's roll through.
let them rip.
I don't believe I've seen an Eli Roth film at all.
Yeah, I probably would. I
What
mean,
is it? What is this? Is this the one
okay,
with the?
so
Is this the one with the like Puritan looking guy is going around killing people?
no, this is well. We might be talking about the same thing. Do you remember when they years ago, Tarantino and Rodriguez made a film, the Grindhouse thing?
Yeah,
There were fake trailers that
right.
they
Oh,
flew
so he
for.
made
He
one of them.
made something called Thanksgiving, which was a standard 80s slasher at Thanksgiving. Pretty gruesome images. Well, after all this time, he actually made it. I hear it's a more updated story. It's not quite what that trailer was, but people seem to like it. So
Yeah, I don't think I've seen. He did what? Hostel.
he did Hostel, he did Cabin Fever, he did
Yeah, I haven't seen
like
anything.
Green River something something. He did a remake of Dead. I can't remember.
Yeah, he's somebody who I've completely like. I'm aware of him, but I don't know if I. I remember people were like, he's kind of schmucky. His films are kind of,
I mean, he knows his shit. I like hearing
yeah,
him talk
man,
about, I like him talking about horror, but I'm not exactly sold on his.
like Rob Zombie.
Well, he did. It's funny. He did a fake trailer in that too, and that sucked. The best one was, in my opinion, was Simon Edgar Wright did one called Don't. Was it Don't?
Oh,
And it was
don't
it's like
do this. Yeah,
don't go in the house, don't go this, and it played off on a lot of stuff, and it was really clever, but that's just me.
yeah. I've never seen
What else you got, Stevie?
the Planet of Terror or whatever, and Death Proof.
Yeah,
I have a real aversion to Tarantino that
yeah.
is hard to explain in some ways. Oh, I like Blood and Black Lace.
Oh yeah.
I think it's a great looking film. Don't love the end, maybe.
Do you always watch it? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen it not dubbed though. I've never heard it. I've never heard it in Italian. So it always is that.
Sure. I'm not sure because I only saw it a couple of years ago, but I mean, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a really, but I think the story, there's almost too much story. It's almost too normal.
Yeah.
It doesn't have I mean, it's brutal for its time, the mace chain thing, but I feel like I remember feeling like they revealed the killer too early and that it was also a little too obvious, but the style of that movie is just like if they could have mixed some of the aspects of Bay of Blood into it. If it was a little crazier.
Well, I mean, the story in Evil Eye, the girl who knew too much, is a better story than
Yes.
the Blood and Black Lace. But Blood and Black Lace starts that incredible saturated, weird color.
Yeah, and it's got the set pieces are much more pronounced. Because I mean, the girl who knew too much has set pieces.
Oh yeah.
They just don't end with lurid imagery much. But yeah, I need to rewatch some of the Bava stuff. I did rewatch Hatchet for a Honeymoon, and it was a cleaner print, so it was a much better looking movie. But I think it's a still dumb movie.
Yeah, I've still never seen that. I've always need to, but yeah,
it's pretty damn dumb. But it does have a supernatural element and a slasher element and a giallo element. And there's one scene that I remember really liking, and the second time I watched it, I just felt they didn't. It's not a great set piece. It's a great idea for a set piece. Just doesn't do it for me. I want to see Kill Baby Kill again. I love that one.
Yeah, that was a weird movie. That was a movie that Paul Girardi could never remember. A guy that we know from the comic book store, who it was one of his favorite films. He loved it. He would always talk about it. Could never remember the name, and we actually saw it in
Exhumed.
Exhumed on the
Yeah,
big screen.
it's the first time I saw it.
It didn't do it for
They
me.
didn't have a nice print, and
Yeah.
and
Well, yeah, I
I
think that
remember
really matters. Yeah.
watching the clean print of it. I found it's got one of my favorite set piece. It's kind of a jump scare, somebody might call it, but the running scene. Holy shit! It's also got one of the earliest, ghost stuffs going on. Here's a little ball. Here's a kid. It's a very. I really really like it because I think it's got a great dreamlike nightmare
Yeah.
quality to it.
Mm.
Uh, I just really wasn't it they finding like gold pieces inside people that were dead or something like it's fucking weird.
That's involved in it. That was the thing. Paul would always say, "There's this movie, and there's a kid, and there's coins, and there's
Yeah, it was just
stuff."
it's kind of for a film that has some crazy stuff in it. It's kind of understated and
Yeah.
I just really like Kill Baby Kill. What a weird title for it though. It's not. It doesn't. The film doesn't really need that title.
Yeah.
It's like it's not a stabbing crazy. But I mean, I feel like it's definitely had some influence on Argento in the real versus unreal and the dreamlike stuff, especially at the end and shit going crazy. I want to rewatch Suspiria because I've only seen it once. Was there ever a movie that wasn't horror but freaked you out?
All movies based on true stories
Yeah, you
that are
have that.
like murder or stupid UFO, and I don't believe in any of that shit. Scare the shit out of me.
Yeah,
Not as much. Not as much. I don't really get scared at movies anymore. I just feel like you know I, it's more of a kind of uncomfortableness than
yeah. It's
more
also I
fright.
prefer that. I prefer dread and tension and discomfort. If a film can maintain that, to be Dawn of the Dead does that, things like that.
Yeah.
I get scared very easily at films.
I
Films
think I
just
think
scare the shit out of me.
to go back to that question, I think there's some genre weird things like if Wake and Fright. I mean, if that's
Yeah,
is
that's
that a
terrible.
horror? If it's not a horror, it certainly fucking gets there.
It's
You
terrifying.
know,
It's a horrifying. It's yeah. Wake and Fright is one of those movies where yes, it's like it's not the same thing, but like Midnight Express freaked me out.
sure, yeah, yeah,
I saw it in the theaters. I was not ready for that. I found that harrowing. Um, Parts of Apocalypse Now because
okay,
it makes you feel awful
mm,
and it is horrific in places. Kids with grenade. I mean, it's just the dread of that film. Do you know what I mean? It
yeah,
it gave me a very similar sensation to a horror movie. Non-horror. Uh, the, a lot of people mention this one, Willy Wonka, the boat scene
oh yeah,
in Willy Wonka. I saw that in the theater as a kid.
wow,
And that scene actually, I almost ran out of the theater when the worms show up and shit. It's a fucked up thing for a kid's film. Perfect for a Roald Dahl, even if the state hates it. There's also the whole idea that these kids, I thought the kids were getting murdered.
right.
So at a certain point, I was like, Augustus Gloop these kids get fucked up.
But is it, the thing is with the new Wonka film came out. I'm kind of curious because it's the guy who made the two Paddington films.
Right.
But the thing is, to me, everything about Willy Wonka is his performance, Gene Wilder's performance as Willy Wonka. I
Yeah.
mean, I think without that, I'm not sure I have much need for any other Willy Wonka shit.
I mean,
I
yeah.
like, you know,
Well, the reason people remake everything is like they're fans and they think they can do better, and we have the technology,
but
and
that is such a
actually we can go back to the book and we can have the squirrels and we can. I didn't
look.
see the Tim Burton one. There was no way.
Oh, I found it abysmal.
I don't like
Abysmal.
Johnny Depp. I really dislike Johnny Depp first of all, and Tim Burton. Just he's still a child, and I just I don't like the way he plays with toys. I just don't.
Yeah.
It's like he puts them down, forgets about them, goes on to a new thing. I don't love his art, but I do love what that comes from. I mean, to me, Nightmare Before Christmas is the perfect Tim Burton film. It's beautiful. It looks fantastic. I want to buy all the toys. The music stinks, which is weird because I'm a Oingo Boingo and Elfman fan. The story stinks. The characters actually stink. It's a terrible movie, unmemorable. God bless people who can watch it over and over again. It's a movie that it's about an abusive boyfriend, and the villain. The movie is so lazy that the villain isn't revealed until 10 minutes into the end of the fucking movie. But boy, those the Rankin Bass toys in there are gorgeous. I love these. I love the design. The movie is beautiful. The animation is beautiful. The timing is beautiful. The movie is a fucking mess.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Fucking mess. It's like if you put all those toys in an FAO Schwartz thing, ran some bad music, and you had to sit in front of it for hours.
Well, the thing is, I remember the first time I saw it, I enjoyed it, and I thought, oh, is this something I'll go back to? And I can't do it. Every time I try to watch it, I just can't do it.
It's also it's a long cartoon.
Oh well, it's being brought up that Burton didn't direct.
Yeah,
Before Christmas.
But he controlled
his influence on the making of it feels like that. Just like
it's a very Tim Burton film. I mean, the character of Jack is a Tim Burton lead,
if you
does not really necessarily deserve all the sympathy that he gets, and he gets to be shitty to characters, and at least he's not Johnny Depp.
Right, and the director, who I don't remember,
Henry Selick.
He did, yes, it's there. He went on to do James and the Giant Peach and what?
Yeah.
The other one, girl's name.
Did he do Coraline?
I think he did that. And those movies don't feel like a Tim Burton film. They don't have that kind of. I mean,
I didn't like the James and the Giant Peach at all. I thought the script was terrible.
Yeah, it didn't work for me. I was very disappointed.
It didn't work for me in the same ways that there's a lot of animation. Just they've got a lot of cool stuff moving around.
Yeah, this is from that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not a big Neil Gaiman fan, but it does look beautiful. Again, it does look beautiful.
I actually enjoyed it. I think it's got some memorable stuff.
Gaiman's a stronger writer than than a lot of people. I'm not incredibly drawn to his stuff, but the prose stuff I've read, I mean, he's talented. He understands a story's got to be a story. I don't necessarily love his bells and whistles maybe, or his approach.
Right.
But Coraline's the only one of them I want to see. I'm curious about seeing, because it also looks. It's got that really cool gothy crap going, except it looks like there's a story in there. It's not just a bunch of Hot Topic clothes or toys. Another movie that I saw that is not a horror movie, but to me is the Philip Kaufman's The Wanderers. The Wanderers. It's funny because Jason
Carter.
Yeah, he said that my Dawn of the Dead post possibly knocked his Wanderers Warriors double feature back a day or two for plans, and I was like, The Wanderers is a film that I'm really amazed is not a cult film, and I'm especially since.
I always would confuse that with the Warriors, and
that's the thing. I'm surprised the Warriors hasn't kind of dragged it into a, double feature, perfect double feature for violent, very fictional, fantasy, almost city gang war fights. I think the problem with The Wanderers is it's a very choppy film. It actually does the kind of thing that I don't like in like Tim Burton films, or who's the guy who has the shitty son and killed people? John Landis. Kaufman goes off in places. Now I have a feeling it has to do with the book. The book might be very episodic, but it's an episodic film. It's Ken Wall and a bunch of guys in the 50s as guys with black leather jackets. It kind of reminds me of maybe a little bit of Valley Girl, just because he's not supposed to be with the main chick, but that happens in a lot of movies. It's a
Romeo Shakespeare, Evan. I think it goes, and then beyond the Greeks.
Oh, you mean Francis Bacon, you dick? The Wanderers.
Do your own research.
I do my own research. Exactly. I do my own research. It's a time traveler. But The Wanderers is a coming of age comedy drama period piece in the 50s, but the characters are all in gangs, and I don't remember if it's in Brooklyn or not, or if it's in New York or not.
Do you know I have? Do you know I have this aversion, and I was thinking about this. 70s films
That take
that
place.
are 50s. I fucking hate them.
Well, because the period is usually really, really bad.
Right, and
You're usually watching a lot of people from TV and movies who don't want to cut their hair.
yet American Graffiti I could watch because it's kind of
It
a
kind of
lazy
works.
watch. You know,
But it's a
just,
cheap film where they got real. It's a cheaper film where they got real stuff. They're not film. They're also filming in a town that you can get better locations. The Wanderers sometimes looks like you're going to go to the left and you're going to see Henry Winkler. But the thing about the Wanderers is that there is a lot of crazy shit in it, and I've never read the book.
I gotta rewatch that. We should rewatch that tomorrow, Stevie.
The thing about the Wanderers, though, is that weaving through this hijinks movie, which has a very 80s hijinks feel, it's a smarter brand of teen sex comedy, and it's because it's not Porky's, but there's definitely like these guys want to get laid. They are, they're girl watchers. They do stupid shit like I forget what it's something my mother actually said was real, that guys on the street would put an elbow out accidentally to brush up against a girl's chest.
Okay.
And I forget the name for it, but my mother was like, I had heard about it before I had seen the movie. But it's got all these kind of like Heaven Help Us, goofy 80s comedy, guy and girl romance. The parents are all nuts. Dolph Sweet is in there as a guy who likes to bowl. I think he's the father of the. So there's all this not sitcom stuff, but 80s coming. And then the movie has the gang shit, and the gang shit is fucked up. The gangs are not as stylized as the Warriors, but there's the Ford. Is it the Ford and Baldies? I think that's the one that has the Ford and Baldies.
Or is that the Flatbush? I don't remember.
Which are all these guys who have shaved their heads bald. The leader is that guy Eric Van. I can never remember his name, but he's the guy who plays the Teutonic guy in Running Man, who's driving that car and singing opera. He's also in the movie where Gene Wilder and Richard Pryor, Stir Crazy.
Yeah.
He's a very memorable, huge, bald guy. And he plays the head of, I think, the Ford and Baldies. There he is, Eric Van Lith. Look at that, man. Holy God.
He wasn't in Fat Guy Goes Nutsoid, was he? Is he fat?
No, I don't know. He's actually not in that much stuff, which is funny because you don't forget him. He seems like he's in a ton of 80s stuff. Well, he plays the lead of the Ford and Baldies, who are a scary bunch gang. And then there's the Wongs, which is an Asian gang. And then there's the Ducky Boys. And the Ducky Boys is where the movie goes into horror movie mode. There are scenes that are literally horror movie scenes. Philip Kaufman's the guy who made the Invasion of the Body Snatchers remake with Leonard Nimoy and
which is very good
and scary. Yeah, Leonard Nimoy and Donald
Pleasance.
No,
Donald Sutherland.
That's what I first almost said because we say Donald Pleasance so often. But I really recommend The Wanderers. It's going to shift all over you. Your mileage will definitely vary. But there is one of my favorite horror movie scenes ever in this movie. And it's not, you might not think it's, to me, it's a horror movie scene. But it's like literally the movie goes from daytime to nighttime in mood and style. It's just so weird. And the movie gets stylized whenever the Ducky Boys come in, because the Ducky Boys are a little bit like the baseball Furies from Warriors. They don't talk. There's tons of them. They're not made up or anything like that. But you're like, how the fuck does this insane street gang with like 200 people who stalk around like Michael Myers, apparently, fucking with people? That's when the movie just goes off reality. The rest, it's like a more adult Happy Days, and then all of a sudden the crazies starts up. It's fucking weird. It's such a weird movie. I think it's why it doesn't have such a huge audience, because I think people who watch it for the teen comedy, coming of age, period stuff might get blindsided by the violence, because the end of the movie gets fucking violent.
Yeah.
And I think the people who go for the violence don't want to sit and wait for for the people who go for the gang stuff. It's a really weird film tonally and everything like that. I love it because I find, the opening stuff cracks me up. It's not brilliant, but it's a weird fucking movie. It kind of, what it reminds me of? Raising Arizona to a degree.
Okay.
Except that Raising Arizona foretells that you're going to have something a bit crazy, although you don't like, maybe it doesn't, because the biker at the end is just over the top crazy, but the movie is less realistic. I mean, it's a realistic film with realistic character motivations and expectations, and then it turns into, sort of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, except it's a Brooklyn gang. It's so creepy and fucked up. It might not hold like when I first saw it, the first 2 times I saw it, but I remember it being one of the most violent mainstream movies I had seen. Kaufman's a pretty good director. I think he did the right stuff, but and there's depressing stuff in it, like realistic depressing stuff. But yeah, as usual, I've talked too much about it, but the Poughkeepsie Tapes, I almost mentioned it before, because that's the kind of film that is on my radar. And anytime I try to, like, should I watch the Poughkeepsie Tapes? I'm like, I think I'm going to be.
Yeah, I've started it a few times, and I haven't. I do this with a lot of films, so it doesn't mean anything if I watch 5 minutes ago. I don't want to watch this now. I have to commit to a little. So, yeah, it's also its subject matter isn't necessarily what I want to spend that much time with.
The people who have and this is not, again, in general, the people who have raved about it, I haven't liked the other films that they've liked. There's just a certain, I'm like, it's like, if somebody raves to me about Terrifier, and I know a lot of movies that they like, I'm not going to go based on Terrifier, but Terrifier and Terrifier 2 and Hatchet, and that's, is everything for them. I'm going to be like, I'm probably going to skip, their films. So it depends on the sites I'm reading also, but the Poughkeepsie Tapes looks like it's going to upset me.
Okay.
Like I said, I don't like serial killer stuff. There's a lot of baggage that comes with it that I'm not a fan of. Which is funny because I'll watch, Dawn of the Dead, I'm laughing, I'm having a great time with, and but it's funny because the Poughkeepsie Tapes is a top of the list. I'm almost watching it, I'm almost clicking on it, and then I kind of go, maybe I'm a little scared of it, to be honest. These the serial killer and found footage probably will make me unhappy, even if it's a good movie. I don't know. I've never seen Man Bites Dog. I've never seen. I don't like, but I think I really like Henry's Portrait of a Serial Killer. I mean, I guess something's got to. And although it made me sick when I first watched it. Can't hear you. What's losing the sound? Why are you losing the sound there? Hi everybody, I'm Evan Dorkin. I like soda. Are you back? Where's Winky? Oh look what I got from somebody. Look what somebody gave me. I'm not going to break his head off, but look at that. I've got one. Isn't that cool? 12-inch. I'll plug myself on there. I'm going to be doing some interviews in the next coming weeks and months with some websites. Or if you guys follow my work, you know that there's been this weird Eltingville Club resurgence on the internet and also in South America. And somebody's gonna, hey, look what I got.
Well, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I need to know that so I know what's going on. It's very nice. Where'd you get that?
I'm not going to say, but somebody we both know sent it to me. So,
Okay.
do I
It
like
was a
any scary
present.
TV shows? I can't answer this question because Kingdom is the only thing I've watched in the last few years. I don't commit to TV series. If I don't like them, I'll go crazy, not finishing. And if I like them, I'll binge. I can't do 12 hours. I'll never work.
Oh,
But
to answer your question, I'm wearing a headset today, and for some reason, we've been doing this for almost 3.5 hours. I think I'm losing connection every once in a while because
is it possible that funny cap is screwing it up?
no, but I do have to say that I was a little disappointed that no one guessed the character that I was playing today, which I thought everyone would,
I
which of course is
Shere Khan. Shere Khan from what is that?
that's
I
no, you
don't know.
don't. It's a beloved kids film. Uh,
No, it's not. Is that a Can album? Is that Krautrock?
it is not. It's not. It's a silly Donald Westlake reference to a book.
I
Where
don't get it.
oh, you don't get the
Is it the kid who get kidnapped? Is it the kidnapped
no,
kid?
it's Help by Being Held Prisoner, and one of the characters
I haven't read
is
that.
named Kunt with an umlaut, and when everybody talks to them,
Yeah.
he says, no, it's not pronounced that way. He never writes it out. He says it's Kunt with an umlaut. So
I didn't get that. Sorry.
that's okay.
Jimmy the Kid. Jimmy the Kid's hilarious.
Jimmy Kid's one of the funniest book, if not the funniest book. I was reading that during jury duty, and I was getting in trouble because I was just laughing out
It's
loud.
so funny. I really should go back to the Dortmunder books. I just reread Westlake's Ghost Story. At the Death or something. Oh, it's very funny. It's actually very harrowing at the end. It's a short story about a guy who hangs himself. It's quite good. But In at the Death, something like that. I don't know. Kaiju content. I want to see Godzilla -1. We almost went.
I'm afraid to. I'm on record not liking serious kaiju films. Before we get into this, I want to recommend. I don't know if anybody else saw it. I loved the anime Gamera that was on Netflix. I thought it was really good.
I didn't know what to make of it. I just saw it.
Yeah,
I was like, what is this?
I really liked it. But here's the thing. I tried Monarch 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't know if I'm really going to watch this.
Is that the one that I think Matt Fraction works on it from comics?
I don't know.
Kelly Sue and Matt, I believe, which is I'm happy for him. Yeah, I didn't even know all this stuff. I mean, I cannot believe how much Godzilla stuff there is the last few years and monsters and stuff. Real quick though, are there any TV shows, scary TV shows that you have? Somebody asked before that. Are you following any horror TV shows?
Are you asking me?
Yes, because it was a question.
Well, no, I didn't know. Maybe that happened when am I following?
You can still read.
I was fucking distracted. Jesus Christ!
What the fuck have you eaten?
Oh,
today?
you have just a lot of edibles. Now here's the thing. It turns out
I wish I did. I wish I was lying right now.
The thing is, I don't currently have Max, but the second season of 30 Coins premiered, and I thought 30 Coins was very good. So I'd like to watch the second season of that. I don't know if it's worth getting Max again. I hate what they've done with everything, you know. But scary TV shows, it's not usually my thing, you know. I don't know.
It's funny. I like the idea of them quite a bit. Like there's a few of them where they know they're going to do a shorter story. Like I still haven't watched the first year of True
Detective.
True Detective.
Which I think is a bait and switch, and you'd be a little I think you would have a Mothman Prophecies.
Gotcha.
Well,
I have Matthew McConaughey's one of the actors that I just kind of don't. McConaughey. He's just one of those guys for some reason, like Woody Harrelson. It's like there's no friction. I don't go for them. Older Al Pacino has become that because of Hangman, you bastards. Hangman, Jesus.
Oh, you got to watch Mind Games then. That was one of the movies I watched. Oh, watch Mind Games. Is it
Mine or Mind?
Like Mind, like.
Okay, because there is a Mind Games. Frames.
No, I'm sorry. It's mind cage. Like your mind is in a cage.
Despite all my rage, he's still just a jerk on a stage. That fuck. I'd like to punch him in the belly.
You're too angry, Evan. You have to start loving.
I would like to beat him with their old bassist.
You
I'd
can't
like to
say
take him
things
by the
like
legs
this.
and beat him. More video
Yeah,
clips.
Yes, thank you. The thing is, we were gonna do a bunch. I said I went to Evan get some ideas. He didn't have any. I didn't have
remember
any.
what I watched.
I mean, you
And
know,
we didn't want to. I guess you didn't want to see the because the only thing was Fatal Frames. Because
right, Fatal
but-
Frames is so fucking good.
But I thought I was like show the video a little bit of the video, but to be honest, you don't really want to see that shit. The problem with a lot of these things is that we don't. Yeah, I mean,
Hello?
here you go.
I'm
Here you go.
Professor Robinson.
I'm calling to say goodbye. Now that your people have so brilliantly solved the case of the Italian video killer, I still have to solve mine in the States.
When are you leaving?
I'm on my way. I'm calling from the airport commissioner. I must be home for Halloween. Looks like an old case has been reopened.
I can't stand this. Oh shit. Hey. I fucking love the only thing better than a dummy getting thrown off of something or pummeled is fake Shemp guys. I cannot fucking believe the audacity of that scene. And do you think they'll get it? He's got to be back. Woody, but Halloween, will they get it? Well, we can also have the music. We don't have the rights. Oh, when has that stopped us in Italy? Unbelievable. And the poster, fucking Christ. Why is this poster there? I love that.
Well, we are getting close to the 3.5 hour
Right.
mark, which is usually when we call.
Thank you.
Oh,
thank you so much.
That's nice.
Um,
I hope you had fun. I hope people got their questions in. I hope 2024 is good and you have a good year.
yeah, I hope you had a good. Everybody had the holidays were kind to you, and things are pretty crappy and depressing. So hoping this week, this in between, this wonderful in between Christmas, holidays, Hanukkah, and everything, Kwanzaa, and the New Year, where everyone feels like they don't have a job, they don't know where they are, they don't know what day it is. It's like, but this weird. Get some movies under your belt, maybe revisit a bunch of things. I've been finding comfort in that, to be honest. I've been finding some of the 80s horror movies. Yeah, I did. I rewatched a lot.
Just turn on, look at Tubi. Just get lost in Tubi for a couple of
Tubi's
hours.
what I like to do is I like to look at Tubi and see if somebody's got a better print with no commercials on YouTube.
Yeah.
More than half the time I will find that.
Well, you too good for fucking commercials?
I don't mind them, but I mean their commercials have become so bizarre, like they're not human, these people anymore. Everything's there's just the green screen quality, and nobody's in the same room with each other. You know what I mean? It's just, but you combine that with the weird obnoxiousness that advertising has, and it's like ads for Candy Crush, and it's like I'm not high. I want to get high if I have to sit in front of that shit. But also, I don't like certain movies. I don't care if there's commercials, but there are some movies where I really want it to flow. I don't want it to get interrupted.
Right. Okay.
And it's like my the rest of the family. They will not watch anything on Tubi or Plex.
Yeah, they can. It's just Plex is pretty hard.
Ace just will not do it. Doesn't want any ads, and I don't blame them, because Hourglass Sanatorium, I have watched the first hour.
I've watched something like that too, and then
I love the way it looks. In fact, I asked Paul to find it quite a while. I am going to refinish it. It's a really neat film, but I like absurdism. It kind of reminded me. I'm sure that Terry Gilliam has seen that film a lot. It had a real feel like some of the Munchausen scenes, the breadth. I loved the depth of field. I loved all the stuff that was going on, but it wasn't going anywhere, and I was getting tired. And it was just a night where I couldn't do the rest of the film, and I haven't gone back to it. But I'm glad thank you for reminding me. The Blood of Heroes.
Is that the whatchamacallit?
Is that the Juggers?
No, the Blood of Heroes is
Rutger
that
Hauer,
Rucker Hauer? Yeah, is that the Rucker Hauer
Joan
one?
Chen.
Yeah, I saw that. I think I saw that in the theater.
I remember liking it, but it had this almost kind of like post-apocalypse Robert Altman feel to it. Like it didn't have a lot of a narrative thrust to it. But I remember it's the kind of film I gravitate towards because I like it's got this real science fiction. I've got this, this is the way the world is. This is what the people do now. But I don't remember. It's really nasty and dirty and muddy, and kind of well made. But I don't remember loving it. I think they call them juggers. That what is it? People going around playing this weird kind of football game or rugby game or something like that. It's hard. It's like the problem I had with Rollerball, the original. I mean, it's not a very good movie, but the game is cool looking, but the game doesn't seem to make sense to me. It's like it's like the Quidditch factor.
Yeah.
The game just doesn't work. Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Hey,
thanks.
My wife.
Did you hear?
what was that?
That was a text message. When Stevie texts me, I get my wife. Hey, Stevie, do you want to go on and say goodbye to this? Do you
Yeah,
want to
say
wave
bye.
goodbye? Do you want to come on video?
I don't
Stevie?
know. I honestly don't know where Winky went.
Stevie, want to go on video?
Winky,
Video? Stevie, where ended it? Do you want to go on?
Winky.
Just tell me yes. Okay, I don't know. There she is. Now, put
Hi,
on your-
Stevie. She's frozen. She's frozen in ecstasy. What the hell is going on here? Oh, there she is. Hi, Stevie.
I lost it. Am I on high?
Happy holidays.
Happy New Year, everybody.
How are
Yeah,
the
happy-
cats?
Happy New Year. Yeah,
Happy New Year. Winky
Happy New
is
Year.
hiding. Winky is hiding in her sad box.
yeah.
There's
I
a
am.
box under the desk that she goes into when she's kind of feeling like she's not being paid
Do
attention.
you ever pee in that if you don't feel like getting up in the middle of the night?
No, but I do still hold the hope that I can buy a McMansion or one. If I become super stinking rich, I'm gonna have a peeing room. I'm gonna have a room that's like Uncle Scrooge Scrooge McDuck's money room.
Jump into a thing of
No,
pee,
I don't go into it. I just open the door and there's like a swimming pool of cat litter,
Okay.
and I just piss.
Well, reach for the stars, Evan.
No bottles.
Reach for the stars.
I don't have to do the Rich Buckle bottle thing. Now I don't know what's going to happen if I do want to do a number two.
All right.
Can we not end it on that? I don't want to end it on that.
You don't have to end it. What?
Thanks, everybody. It was good to see you again.
Thanks, Stevie.
I'm not-
Okay, I guess. Good night.
Stevie's gone. Yeah, everybody. Well, also, sorry we didn't do an audio podcast this year. I blame me. It was just a lot of life getting in the way. So we try to do these instead. So yeah.
I would like to do one.
I would definitely like to, too.
You and I should do a podcast.
We should do a podcast.
All right.
Happy New Year, everybody.
Happy
Thanks
New
for
Year,
showing up.
everybody.
All right. I'm ending the stream, and the stream is ending.